Oh, I should unmute myself. Hello and welcome here to Town Hall Heroes, episode number 85. This is our BlizzCon recap show, and my overlay is completely ruined. Yes. All right, let's give vocals to everyone else. Hello?
Hello.
Oh, goodness. That is that is quite the sound you made there, Jared. All right, so BlizzCon just happened. My webcam has ruined itself, so we're using the booty cam. Oh, the cat has spawned. And today we're talking about everything that was announced at BlizzCon, the new heroes, the new mode, the new map. We're talking about the BlizzCon tournament itself. Of course, obviously, lots of upsets, lots of good results. We'll be talking briefly on some of the roster changes and futures of the rosters that exist. And just esports in general. They announced exactly what will be happening for 2016. Well, not exactly, but for the most part, the general scope of what they want to accomplish for Heroes of the Storm in the year 2016. So those are our topics today. But before we get there, all of us were at BlizzCon. Kubi, how was your experience?
How was my experience at BlizzCon? First of all, we've been gone for a long time. Although we did get to do our 84th episode kind of impromptu and on YouTube. So check that out if you guys haven't seen that yet. What was that? YouTube.com/SolidJakeGG. Otherwise, it was an incredible experience overall. We were, again, there for a while. We had a bit of a break between opening week, and we got to play lots of Overwatch. As you can see, we're kind of on the Overwatch kick right now. The game's a lot of fun. Otherwise, it was really exciting to meet everybody. I met lots of people there, and everybody was quite lovely. Even the Town Hall meetup was awesome, so thanks to you guys for showing up for that. Otherwise, everything else is just stuff that I'm really excited about for next year that we're going to be attempting to cover it in a 2-hour episode, which will honestly be quite difficult.
Jared, how was your BlizzCon?
Busy. I really didn't actually get to do much. I played one thing of Overwatch, and I got to jump in front of the heroes line 7 or 8 times. But outside of that, man, I was mainly just backstage, watching the event. So as far as BlizzCon's experience, I went and saw the StarCraft stage for 2 minutes. And then I did opening ceremony. That's it. So as BlizzCon as a whole, it was just the only heroes focused, which is fine. Yeah, the heroes event itself was awesome. But outside of that, man, it's just working a BlizzCon.
Glow baby, you were there. You're in the crowd playing the patch.
BlizzCon's always great. First of all, because of food trucks, you get to hang out with all your friends, and I got to meet my fan.
Did you say food trucks before anything else BlizzCon related?
Dude, food trucks are amazing. There was this there's this ice cream sandwich place where I got banana cream pie ice cream on a snickerdoodle, 2 snickerdoodles.
Damn,
that does actually
sounds
really
godlike.
Well, I didn't really do that.
What?
BlizzCon
was a crappy burger.
Because you just get to hang out with everyone who's super passionate about the game. You get to get super hyped because stuff that you're passionate about and excited for gets announced, like Tracer. And did I mention Tracer? Oh my god, I can't
Don't
wait.
get weird. Don't get weird.
I'm not getting weird, so she's all I can play in Overwatch, though. BlizzCon was amazing. The tournament was super hype. The Murky pick, that DK versus C9 series, the entire thing was hype as fuck.
You're fine. You're guessed.
So you can only play Overwatch and Tracer, or
Yes.
Tracer and Overwatch. So just like Heroes, you can only play 1 or 2 characters. Nice.
Yeah. Until Tracer comes in,
You're really
then I'll have 3.
Nice. I see what you're looking at there, Glaurung.
What am I looking at there?
You were staring at a very particular part of Tracer.
Port.
All right.
Did you see the Tracer statue, though? Let's be real. I had to take a picture.
Is that the same one that was there last year?
Yeah.
It might have been.
You're talking about the live one, the big one, the full size?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
that's the replica you can buy for $150. They do have they did have that new full size one. The Winston was also new. I think it might have been revealed at
Winston
Gamescom.
was new, I think. Yeah.
The Winston was cool, but I didn't get a picture with it because only the Tracer was for me.
Damn. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, BlizzCon opening ceremony was ridiculous, and I think very akin to Jared and Corey, we were really behind stage, either waiting to cast or watching the games 90% of the event.
Yeah.
But the opening ceremony we got to experience, and I just got to say, when it came down to it, each game has their announcement, and each game has their reaction to the announcement.
Diablo 3.
Except Diablo 3.
It had its little corner behind the Dark Moon Fair. There was like 10 computers.
Wait, was there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my god. Anyway, but you know, they gave the announcements for all the games, and I honestly felt like the Heroes announcement had the biggest reaction. Like people got so high, like Cho'Gall was hype, and then people cheered for Lunara way more than you think they would versus like an unnamed hero. They were just hyped to see this Dryad. She seems like a sassy hero. And then Cho'Gall comes on the screen, and the crowd just freaking lost their mind. Like easily the loudest part of the opening ceremony, even louder than the WoW movie. Maybe my perspective is skewed, but it was really cool. So, but speaking about today, we're going to cover pretty much everything that was announced for the future of Heroes. So this is systems, tools, modes, maps, heroes. That's what we're opening up with. And on that note, let's talk about it. So we know we're getting 4 new heroes. We know we're getting 1 new map. And we know we're getting a new game type, which has multiple maps. So, of the heroes, Glaurung, I know you're very excited for the first one they showed off. Again, Greymane.
Dude, Greymane is amazing. High mobility, high damage, low survivability. My kind of character.
Actually, you know what? I have a whole video ready, and I think it talks about Lunara first. So, yeah, this is going to be Lunara. So let's talk about her. Production, right? Yes.
Production, boys.
I'm the worst. So we have her kit right here. Let me actually just go ahead and pause this before it skips forward.
Yeah. So she puts down a poison that's basically attached to her auto attacks, and I would say all of her abilities really are the only one that's doing damage is her Q, which is Noxious Blossom. Is that what I'm reading there?
Yeah.
Which is it's essentially a ranged. I don't know what
it comes up from the ground.
It's kind of like, I think you described it as like a flame strike, but with a much smaller AoE. Applies the trait to it as well. Her W, essentially anything that has the trait, which is like a little bit of a poison applied to it, they slow, they take additional damage.
Yeah, it's a burst. So you can have the poison on 3 targets and then explode it essentially.
Yep. And then the last ability is a Wisp, which is essentially just a straight up ability that is tied to scouting, which is it gets its own little unit, has a health bar, and you can move it around to scout and go into bushes and everything, which is cool because we don't have anything quite like that with the exception of Scouting Drone, but that can't be moved. Both of her heroics are essentially, they're charge based, so they have fairly short cooldowns. I think one of them was 15 seconds, the other is 30. Don't quote me on that, but essentially they're one of them you dash over the hero, do some damage, and you can dash back. So they kind of, when they were doing the deep dive on stage, it was very high mobility type of thing, which is cool. And you can actually hop over walls if the target is next to the wall when you're jumping over. And then I think the other one is it's like a spear that you throw, and that one has the shorter cooldown, and I'm pretty sure it applies the poison as well.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she doesn't have a mount, so she moves slightly faster than the rest of the heroes at the expense of not being able to mount to the full speed. But that does make her annoying and difficult to chase.
Multiple charges, 3 charges on that heroic. That was the first heroic.
Yep.
And this is the leap one right here. You have 2 charges of that. You don't have to go back over the target like that. You can use it to go over walls. You can use it twice to cover a lot of ground and chase someone. These are some of her skins and tints and stuff. But
she's fun. High mobility.
20% movement speed bonus at all times, but no mounting. So, Glau, what are your thoughts on this hero? Like, she's on smaller battle. She's really squishy, but she's always faster.
What I've noticed about Lunara, obviously my opinions are very new and untested, but just looking at her build paths and playing her a couple times, she seems like a pretty damn versatile hero. She has different build paths where you can go poke oriented with the first heroic, I forget its name, and talents building into her Q, or you could just be like a sort of dive the backline target with her second ultimate and other talents that help in that regard. But I feel like her major weakness is going to be kind of similar to that of KT, where if you can get on him, she just will kind of melt. And she doesn't have any major protective thing like Arcane Barrier at 16. She has improved Spell Shield at 13, which is pretty good against mages and stuff, but it has the same issue Spell Shield has on every other character, where you can just poke it off. So I think she's kind of a glass cannon, but highly mobile characters are just awesome regardless.
So you think the Wisp is enough to warrant her existence? She has the Wisp can die, right? But she has this extra form of vision, and she has the mobility. So do you think she's going to see play, essentially?
I think she will, yeah. In multiple style comps. We'll see how she ends up working out, but I think she'll be a versatile pick with multiple play styles, and the Wisp is obviously very good. So I'm really excited.
Jared, any opinions?
I kind of disagree with what Glaus said about her being similar to KT. Like, if you go the Leap ult, she's like a better version of Vala. Her damage is actually insane. She out-damages Raynor, like, hard.
Yeah.
In the games that I saw, she does insane damage, and she like the Wisp alone makes her viable. Like, that Wisp is insane. Like, her damage is great. You have to go the Leap ult, I feel, like, unless you're playing a really far back style. Like, because like Mike said, there are multiple play styles. Like, if you go the increased range on auto attacks and style, and then you get the one ult with the long range poke, like, you can like actually siege and poke with her, which is cool. But I don't know. I feel that she's going to be insane. Like, her damage is insane. That Leap heroic is ridiculous amount of mobility. Like, it's just the range on it's huge, and you get charges of it, which is just awesome. And then
It's really good.
Yep.
She
Outplay
goes
potential.
far. Like, her ability to travel with that heroic, the one where you jump and like chase, like even just hitting a minion and hitting a minion to travel over a lane to chase someone. Like, the plays that we're gonna see or we could see are actually like super insane.
Like, you can split push with her pretty easily, and like just say you're like isolated bottom lane Sky Temple, you can scout with your Wisp to see when ganks are rotating for you, and then if you have both leaps and you just run away, like, she's gonna be so hard to pick off when she's like just split pushing. Like, she's got great damage. I don't know. I think like the Wisp, like with the Wisp and stuff, I think she's gonna be insane. Like,
Her slow's pretty ridiculous too. Like,
the
both
slow's
for
great.
kiting and chasing.
Yeah.
From what I could tell, like, I think the Leap ult is the way to go, but we'll have to see.
Agreed.
I think both could be viable, but yeah, it's the outplay potential on another ranged character. Like, the only characters that are ranged that you can truly outplay people on right now is like Falstat. I'm talking about like majorly finesse, not just hitting your abilities. Would be like Falstat. I think this character would be one.
yeah, Falstat Tyrande.
I think just the movement
Tyranda's
speed in
good too.
general.
Basically, K1 Pros heroes.
Yeah,
I think this would be
Jaina
would be
once she gets
awesome.
Bolt, and then that's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
it. Yeah, like, I agree. She's gonna be fun to watch play. Like, with like you brought up K1 Pro. Like, he's gonna, like, if he gets good with her, like, which he will clearly. Like, I don't know. That hero is gonna be awesome to watch play.
You look at other ranged damage dealers, Vala can only do so much. Her abilities are all like mass AoE. It's hard to mess up on her. Same with KT. You literally press D and W twice on a beefy target in front of you, and you're doing your job. Jaina's one of the more finessey ones later into the game, but like, we don't have enough of that in heroes. So
I agree.
Lunara is going to be awesome for that.
Yeah, I think just the movement speed, like the base extra alone, like we'll see some really cool kiting. Like, she'll be able to put herself into like some weird positions to like bait out heroes to get them to move back, and just be dealing a lot of damage with auto attacks in general. That'll be really cool to see. The other interesting thing I was noticing, I was looking at her trait, or not her trait, but her talent tree, and she has an entire level dedicated to one ability, which is Wisp. And I think they're kind of like sort of testing the waters with that. Like, well, let's see what this looks like. We'll just give you one ability. I think maybe the exception right now is the trait for Karazim level 1. I don't think there's any other heroes that have like an entire trait or talent level dedicated to one ability.
I was
Yeah, I think
actually
you're right.
thinking about this earlier today, and I kind of like that this sort of utility talent is able to be put into a hero and still have their combat effectiveness like really, really high. Because there are some heroes where you want to go for a utility talent, but you lose so much in the team fighting aspect.
Right.
So if you can design a hero to do their job in team fights without like having talents that make that so, and so you can like build into their utility as well. Like Tassadar's vision at 4, that thing is amazing, but sometimes you can't get it because you need leeching plasma. That's not a great example, but you
I
kind
get
of
you, yeah. So that should be interesting. I think that was really, after looking at the talent tree. Otherwise, she does have the beefed up spell shield, 75% reduction, which is I think the first that they've put that in. And they were even considering giving it a full spell damage reduction.
That would be so sick.
They didn't want to go too far with it.
Like if you could make it activatable, that would be so cool.
So you mean like ice block?
But only for damage. And you could still move and stuff. It would be so
I
broken.
get you. Yeah.
But
Otherwise, yeah, I mean, she does, like everybody was saying, just echoing that she does seem like a high skill hero. We'll be able to see some really cool, and I'm just very happy that they're putting that type of stuff into the game.
What are your guys'
We do need more of
thoughts
it.
on doing stuff like that? Like it's a term in Hearthstone's called power creeping, where they take a card and then just buff it, like it just clearly make it better than a pre-existing thing. So like with Greater Spell Shield, they took Spell Shield, Greater Spell Shield with Jaina. You have improved Ice Block as well.
Come on.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's not the same. It depends on the hero, and you're balancing it with the rest of the kit. So you can't just be like, oh, this is a better version of this. Now every hero from now on gets this. No, it's because of, first of all, like the lore of the hero, and also like the fact that they are going to balance the rest of the kit and that talent tier around the ability.
Okay, how is that different with Greater Spell Shield then?
You mean you're talking about Lunara's?
Yeah.
Well,
why is
they
that?
both
why
have
is that?
It's not power creep
greater
though, because you're
in
not
it.
putting it in a vacuum. You can compare the cards in a vacuum.
Okay, I was just using the term from Hearthstone. Okay, I'm just asking, what do you think of them taking a talent,
it's
putting
fine.
it on a different hero, and just
It's
making
fine.
it stronger?
It gives
You think that's
the more gives all these heroes like more.
She has a more like
It's not just
focus.
like generic talents around.
Even
all
the advanced block on Medic, right? It's so specific to her. If she didn't have that, she'd get bodied so much easier. So if they're making Lunara an assassin that might excel versus spellcasters, that's a strategic choice in your draft, right? She is specifically good against that. I like it. I think it's a good idea.
Okay, but when does it stop being a good idea and starts like what happens when this is like we already have it on like we just brought 3 different heroes, Jaina, Lunara, and Medic. When does it get to the point where it's just like, oh, Blizzard doesn't know what to do for their talent, so instead of just giving them Spell Shield, they give them a better version of Spell Shield? When does it get to the point where every hero?
Well, they even mention it in like the design panel where in the lore the Dryads were particularly good against magic. So this is something that they
Okay, for Lunara it's fine. I'm not just talking about her specific. I'm just talking about the general theme of taking a
Johanna's
talent,
a good example.
Okay.
putting it on a different hero, and
she has Giant Killer. It's just regular Giant Killer. Is that an issue?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That is what you're saying, though, because you're saying that there are better versions of Giant Killer for other.
Literally, I haven't even said it's a bad thing. Literally, all I asked was you take a talent, you put it on a different hero, and then you make it only better on that hero.
You said
if
when
they
does it
start
stop?
doing that,
I don't think it ever needs to stop as long as it has something to do with the theme of the hero, right? It's a thematic choice on every single hero. Medic has a big shield, right? She gets multiple blocks. Lunara, like Dryads are supposed to be good against magic. She has better spell power. Jaina is made of ice. Her ice block, well, she's not made of ice, but she's a frost mage, so her ice block is better. Thematically, they all make sense.
So, because Jake is the only one bringing up an actual relevant argument, Kubi, you think as long as it's thematically okay, Jake, then it's fine?
Yeah.
Like
To kind of be devil's advocate, like building on Zoya's point, there are like talents in the game that don't fit that theme. Like your Johanna's Shield Glare at level 1 applies block. You have Chen's Swift Reflexes, which could be applicable, I guess. And like Cho'Gall's level 1 talent that can give you up to 10 stacks of block. Like there are things in the game that kind of seem like lazy design, but I don't know if they are. And I'm just kind of like building on Zoya's point that it does exist, but I don't know if it's a problem.
Yeah, literally all I was asking was if it was an issue. Like, do you think down the road that, like, this is okay balance design if every single hero starts getting these things? Instead of seeing new talents, we're just seeing rehashed better versions.
I mean, if we have one hero that has, like, a better block and a better spell block and a better ice block, they have all of those, that might be a problem. But as long as it's, like, not a super common thing and it exists, like, in, like, vacuums that, thematically make a big difference for that hero, I like it.
Okay, that's all I was trying to ask. Cool. There was
my opinion on it. If I think it's right or wrong, is I just think it's a little bit lazy design. I think it's just fine. I don't think it's game breaking, but I do think it's like lazy design.
As lazy as it could. I mean, this is a whole other discussion. We could do this another time, but I mean, you look at items. Items are generic across the board. I think having a few generic talents like these that are crucial for like certain gameplay decisions are good. But that is a huge discussion that we'll save for another day. Let's continue on with this guy who I know Glau is very excited. Greymane. So he's so fun. He's got a pretty diverse kit. Obviously, he's the first hero in the game to have 2 forms. Let me actually go back just a little bit so we can read off the talents quickly. So Razor Swipe in Worgen form, it's basically a key where you go forward. Inner Beast, disengaged back to your human form, and the 2 heroics. We'll actually talk about them as this plays. All right. So, Glow Baby, you're real excited, obviously.
Absolutely.
But what are you most excited about for this hero? We can see he's got the 2 forms. He's shooting from afar. I guess they're just going to show his animation. There's his melee attack, a little bit harder when he's in Worgen form.
Mm-hmm.
His E either engages or disengages, which go back to human form. Does damage when you engage.
I'm very excited for the 1v1 outplay potential with this hero. Like, that's...
That heroic?
Not so much that heroic. His kit is so amazing. You can poke people down from far and then get in, and then after 4 seconds of dancing around dueling, you can get out with your E. And there's talents that support him with really reckless play. Like at 4, he gets stealth for 4 seconds, and just things like that that you can spec into to really make him this sort of like in and out assassin. And I don't know how good he'll be in straight up 5v5 team fights that are super organized, but I think with the right sort of composition, like with Sanctification or Divine Shield, he could just be a complete monster.
Yeah, I feel he's very, like, playstyle-wise, feels very similar to Nidalee in League of Legends.
Yes.
You know, Nidalee with her spear and her human form, you poke, and then, you know, as soon as they're low, you dive in with your cat form and, like, finish the kill and then run away. It's very similar to that, just a little bit better mobility, I feel, on Greymane, because he's got a charge in wolf form and then a disengage in human form. So, like, I don't know, it's a really fun kit, and I really want to highlight what Glau said, the outplay potential, which is something desperately that Heroes has been doing for a while from a spectator point of view, is like the ability to outplay. There's so many, like when someone gets outplayed, it's with Bolt of the Storm, which isn't like a long cooldown now. Like it's like, oh, that was a great bolt and he secured a kill. Like there's no individual outplay anymore except for like the Heroes Glau mentioned earlier, False and Toronto stuff.
Yeah, you want to know the one time in the entire Heroes of the Storm tournament at BlizzCon that I got excited for a 1v1 outplay. The rest of it was just like who could pick off a hero at the right time or who could team fight better. The only time, and it wasn't even very rewarding that K1 outplayed him, it was in the grand finals on Dragonshire. K1 Pro was playing Falstad versus some Dignitas player on Jaina. I don't know. And it was in bot lane. He outplays her, forces the ice block, and then the team collapses. It's like, yeah, it was awesome, but that was the only time I ever saw someone truly get outplayed.
Is that the one where he mighty gusted and then?
Yeah, and he barely gets away.
That was fan.
The fly at the bottom. Yeah, that was fan play.
That was fan.
No, it was K1 Pro on Falstad.
K1 Pro played Falstad the second game. Fan played him the first. Yeah, they did switch those. Just so you know. But where credits due, that's all. I can double check. I'll double check.
I think you got them reversed. I think K1 Pro was on
sure
Falstad. Sky Temple, K1 Pro was Falstad. Game 3, he was on Vala.
I'll check.
No, there's no checking. You're wrong. Because I remember K1 Pro getting hyphy saying that he was going to bust out his Vala play in the grand finals, and that was Game 3 he was on Vala.
I was going to say
he's the best Vala in the world, and he knows how to play it better than anyone. Kubi.
Literally that, also, building on that point, I think it's hilarious that he says that, because that was the first time, and we scrim C9 all the time. That was the first time I've seen K1 Pro play Vala in months, and he just whips it out in the grand finals.
Yeah, he was saying that he thinks no one plays Vala right, and he was going to show the world how to play Vala.
Strafe, dude.
And then he just like goes, he just plays Vala like he plays Jada. He just goes with the butt, like. But yeah,
it's effective. She has so much mobility.
Yeah, but you're right. Like, even though that was like an awesome outplay, and it was a really cool situation, like, that was, that required like a lot, and it's very rare where we get those things. So Greymane with the
in an entire tournament, that was the only time it happened.
Let's keep talking about Greymane because that's our topic right now. Which heroic are you most excited for, Glau?
The marked for the kill by far. Yeah,
it's basically it's Hunter's Mark in a heroic where you dive in and you shred that opponent.
Yeah, you get backline penetration risk-free. On some characters, you can decide to make the snap decision and dive backline, like Tyrael on Judgment. But you can get punished for it. You can kind of expect it more. This, you can like mark for kill someone, and then in that 5-second window, decide whether or not you actually want to go in. Similar to like a Butcher's Charge, it has an effect where if you shoot someone with that, then their support gradually prepares for you to jump on that target. So if you decide to swap targets after you launch your ult, they see the marked for death target over one target, and then suddenly you engage with your E onto another target and start shredding them up. The support doesn't know what to do, and it's sick. That ultimate, I think, is going to be so awesome. Also, something I wanted to bring up, the 25% more damage is also really, really cool. In 1v1 situations, that pretty much means you can beat almost any hero, and gives him a good chance to kill
It's a 1 minute
tanks.
cooldown, too. So, like, that's ridiculous. Like, the fact that you have the potential every minute to just Shrek anyone, really, right?
And there is counterplay. Like I said, similar to the Butcher charge, if you're just going to use your ult and go in without thinking about what's going to happen to you, then you deserve to be punished, and you can outplay the Greymane. I just like that it's more than just a point-and-click ultimate like Judgment.
Yeah.
So one thing Blizzard specifically talked about in their panel, I forget which one it was, but the reason that they're adding 2 ranged assassins, like right now, presumably these heroes are the next 2 to come out. Well, we know Cho'Gall's next, but presumably they're after Cho'Gall, is because of the how often we see heroes like Jaina, Nova, again, at least on ladder, Kael Thas, like the popularity of these heroes, and they want to diversify it. These heroes definitely, you think they're going to be up to snuff to go toe-to-toe and be those first picks, or at least popular in the Hero League and quick match world?
Depends.
Based on kit or balance?
Sorry?
Based on kit or balance? Because they always show the
Both.
heroes in like a much more unbalanced version at BlizzCon. That always happens. So you can't really judge on that.
Thrall, for example, last
God,
year's
he was a god.
Right,
last
so
year.
it's like how you asked that same question last year. It's like, oh, is Thrall going to be good? Like, yeah, based on how he
And
was.
to be fair, when he was released, he was godlike.
He was a god. He was.
But he
For
wasn't
a few
as
weeks.
strong
Green
as
Jesus
he was
himself.
at BlizzCon.
I see. Well, I guess, yeah, just
Their
assuming...
kits alone warrant them to be high played. Like the Lunara, like that's Vision. Like Vision it's a ward. Like a ward in Heroes of the Storm is awesome. Prevent ganks and stuff. Greymane's kit, like any assassin that has the ability to outplay someone, like as long as the damage is there, there's a chance there's a great chance that they'll be viable. As for Cho'Gall, well, that's a completely different beast.
I have no idea.
That is a great segue. Cho'Gall, I'm not even going to try to read off his abilities because Cho and Gall each have their own kits. Now, if you haven't heard, this is a new hero that's 2 heroes in one. Cho drives, and he's a warrior. Gall is attached to Cho, but he's an assassin. And basically, queuing as him, all this stuff, is quite unique. Drafting him... They even said they're changing it so that if you queue as 2 in Hero League, you'll always be during a 2-pick phase, so that as a duo, you'll have the ability to draft Cho'Gall if you like. The way they're giving out Cho'Gall is very unique. Basically, if you don't know Cho'Gall, you play 2 games. You win 2 games as Cho'Gall, and you unlock him for your team. And you get like 2,220 gold if you win 5 games as Cho. So that's a pretty interesting incentive. And the only people that own Cho, you can't buy him, are the people that attended BlizzCon and got virtual tickets, or random people might just get him added to their account. All in all, we see that he has a shit ton of abilities between Cho and Gall. And not going to try to... That's a heroic. That's why it's just demolishing the enemy team.
Okay, so the most important thing people need to realize is this is the first hero in the game that limits your team to 4 players for soaking and controlling objectives. Abathur, you can cap objectives on. You can soak multiple lanes with his body and his symbiote. Vikings, you can soak multiple lanes. You can capture objectives. You can do whatever. Even with like Misha, we saw in the Dragonshire game, you can cap shrines with him. You can hold position there. You can do a lot of crazy stuff like that. This is the first hero in the game that once he's in the game, you are now limited to 4 bodies, which means 1 less person not able to cap objectives, 1 less person not soaking lanes, 1 less person not split pushing or doing whatever. And that is a huge downside to the hero's capabilities in team play and competitive. So keep that in mind. When, no matter how inherently broken his kit may be or may seem, because he is strong. Playing with him, he is very tanky and he does a lot of damage. But you automatically, by picking this hero, You lose 1 for anything important. Soaking. Like, suddenly, you're down to 4 people. You can't. It's harder to lane. It's harder to, you do things like that. You lose people who can cap objectives. On Dragonshire, you're suddenly limited to 4 people who can cap shrines instead of 3. Like, how do you control mid, top, and bottom on Dragonshire with only 4 people? It's a much harder objective.
Unkillable body. But no, to build on that, like, I definitely think he's going to be stronger on maps like Battlefield of Eternity, or maps where there's a central objective that you don't need to be split apart. Like,
yeah.
I think he's going to be super, super strong on Battlefield of Eternity. I think he has the potential to be strong on Sky Temple because, for the most part, it's a teamfight-oriented map. If you control 1 point, I think he's going to be strong at that. Haunted Mines, if you even want to think about that, it was played 1 time at the World Championship, but he's going to be a beast on that map. And that game was funny as heck. Yeah. Dude. That was amazing. But to digress, I definitely think he's going to be more of a powerhouse on maps that are less rotation-based and more teamfight-based.
Now, just another weakness to point out for Cho'Gall, he's a hero that counts as 2, where 1 stun stuns 2 heroes. Hunter's Mark is applied to 2 heroes, right? So he has a bunch of weaknesses. If you're against a stun-heavy composition, he is worthless. Like, you can just chain stun him, and that's 2 heroes just getting chain stunned.
Yeah, I mean, he, like, with all those weaknesses in mind, like, everyone just think, when you start seeing him, like, pop up and stuff, keep all of those things in mind when you pick him and play him, especially if you're, like, trying to be competitive with him. But now we can talk about, like, his kit itself. He's OP. Like, him as a hero in the game is insanely broken. His health pool, I think, has over 10,000. Like
at level 5, dude.
Yeah, like early on. He is so hard to kill. His damage output is insane. That Shadow Bolt volley Jake showed earlier. You know how in those heroic ability videos, it's like, this is Lightning Breath, and suddenly 5 heroes fall down because secretly they're last HP. Those could have been full health 8 heroes, and they all would have done the Shadow Bolt volley. Like, that shit hits hard. Like, he does an insane amount of damage. His health pool is ridiculous. He's actually, despite being massive, got great mobility. You can body block like it with him really, really well. Like, his kit, in, like, single skirmishes and even in team fights, he is really, really strong. But the problem is we tested him on a map where, it's really all about team fighting. Which we can talk about that map a lot later. But his kit, just generically feels really, really good.
His Shadow Bolt ultimate is ridiculous. Like, this is a bad example because it's BlizzCon and the skill level and stuff is not all there, but I was playing with my teammate, Sai. I was Gall, he was Cho, and we went up to the boss. Our team had just died. They were about to finish boss. They stood on it. As 4, we had the level 20 version of the ult where it penetrates everyone, and literally within like 1.25 seconds, their entire team was dead. And we stole the boss in 1. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah. He hits hard.
I think he's going to be amazing in team fights.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, those that don't know, Cho is more of the tanky / initiator. He's the one that controls. Gall is the assassin, so anytime you see a game of Cho'Gall, Gall's always going to be close to the top of the meters if you're playing him right. They did cool things where, like, the E on Cho is an orb that gets launched out by Cho, and then Gall has an ability to explode it. Yeah. So there's also synergy between the abilities. He's a really cool and fun character to play. Kubi, how was your experience playing Cho'Gall?
Oh!
Sorry, I was too busy casting.
Damn.
Wow.
I'll say though,
Wow.
each Cho and Gall each have 2 heroics, and Cho has the heroic, which is basically that giant primal grass that we saw. It's like a massive triangle where you pull them in, and Gall has the shadow missiles, whatever it's called. It's not arcane missiles, but whatever it's called. Pairing those 2 up, you can just shred through the enemies. Like, it's actually super fun. So I'm excited to see what kind of cool duos we see in competitive heroes for Cho'Gall.
There's a cool wombo combo you can do with him, like just Cho and Gall. I don't know what the ults are called, but the Primal Grasp, let's just say that, paired with the Furnace Blast on Gall is actually really, really funny. Because you proc Furnace Blast, pull them in, and they just blow up. It's super funny.
Let's see. It's Twisting Nether.
Yeah. Primal Grasp.
Well, no. That's Gall's. And Cho's is Upheaval. So Upheaval and Twisting Nether.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty badass.
Upheaval twisting nether wombo.
It's a lot of damage.
He's crazy. He's crazy good, and I don't know if he'll be playable in arena, but he'll be funny as hell there. But
Yeah.
for competitive, apparently the way it works is as first pick you can't pick him at all. You have to lock him in as Cho
pair.
and Gall, the same rotation. I know that's for Hero League. I don't know how people are going to handle it competitively, like in esports, because let's just say he does end up being like the OP. That's like a huge advantage for like second pick and stuff, just because you can't. But then
How
you
do
lose
bans
next
work?
Hero. If you ban Cho, he's banned out.
Right. You ban Cho'Gall is banned with him. So one ban slot. That's how it has to work. It doesn't make sense to spend 2 bans on that. That's people being
the
stubborn.
entire dynamic. Like, I agree that he should be 1 ban, but the entire dynamic that Blizzard is doing something like this to the game is just so badass. Like,
That's what everyone said about Abathur. Abathur broke all the rules, right? And now Cho'Gall's doing it again. So props to them because it's cool.
no other game even similar to Heroes has a character that 2 people control, and I think that's so awesome. But I don't know what it's gonna do to competitive.
They even admitted that back in 2004, their April Fool's joke that in World of Warcraft, you could play as a 2-headed ogre, which took 2 players to control. It was a new race that took 2 players to control. They thought it was such an absurd idea that they made an April Fool's joke about it, and here it is in Heroes.
I'm excited for. Okay, so are you only able to lock him in when you're duo queuing with someone?
No,
like,
I don't
let's
think
just
so.
say that you're not able to, or it's both ways. Like, so what? Let's just say I'm like randomly queued up, and like I'm second rotation, and the guy I'm with just insta locks Cho, and it's like, oh, now I'm stuck playing Gall,
I don't think
and he's some
I don't
jerk that's
think
running
you
into
can.
towers
I
and
don't
stuff.
think you can lock Cho until the other guy's hovering Gall. So I think it's kind of like unless you both lock in, it doesn't work. But the way that they're giving out Gall is by people locking Cho.
Yeah.
So they're intending it to be viral. So if you play, people will be like, hey, can you play Cho, please, or whatever, you know?
I really hope they release an infographic on like the spreading of Cho.
That'd be cool.
Like, I want to see
The
like
Cho viral.
how many people it starts with, and just like just like a net.
Did you
of,
ever
like,
play the
where it
game
goes.
Play Gink?
Yeah, everyone's played Play.
just like Plague, dude. You just see the exponential growth, and then rapidly, like, everyone gets it.
Oh, Chad is confirmed. Chad's saying you have to duo queue. That's weird.
That makes more sense because then it'd just be like okay, because he does take communication. Like I said, like the E, I believe, is what you have to like synergize and communicate with. Like if you're just randomly throwing out those orbs and you're not ready to use it, that can be difficult. It was funny watching people play Cho. Like I played a game with like randoms where the 2 people next to me were playing Cho'Gall, and one of them was like screaming, "Go bot, go bot!" And he's just like pushing top lane. Like it's just when you're in the Gall seat and you have no control over where you move, like stuff like that could be really hilarious just to witness. Like I told you they were gonna gank us. It's just like I'm sorry, I was pushing top for it.
Jared, here's the dream: Cho'Gall with an Abathur hat.
Hive Mind goes twice.
Oh!
Hive
Hive Mind goes twice. You get double spikes.
But then you also have 1 less body.
and
well.
Oh, I can't wait to do this while streaming. That sounds so fun.
Yeah, let's do that. Tassadar and just throw everything onto 1 hero. Could be funny.
He's crazy, man. He's might be the first he's the
Exodia of Heroes, dude.
Like there might be games where he's your solo tank. Like
that's awesome.
Legit, he could be solo tank Cho'Gall if you play it right.
Well, honestly, I was thinking, like, when we want to try and draft him, I think we're gonna put Psy on it, like our tank, like just because he could solo tank. I think.
Yeah,
that's hype, man.
I'm super excited because he comes out soon, and I can't wait to see what the competitive community does with it. Because Blizzard, man, you've stepped up your game yet again. That character is crazy. The moment I heard about him, I was just like,
yeah, 1,000 things run through your head. Like, wait, like, how does that? Oh, okay. And then
the first, it's initially anger, like Blizzard, you're fucking stupid. What are you doing? And it's like, oh, this could be cool. Wait, this could be bad. Oh, this is gonna be fun. It's just like a million emotions at once.
Someone just put a really good question in the chat. Does Chain Bomb trigger on Cho'Gall?
I don't think so, no.
Only,
It's
it
just
only
one
damage-
body, right?
Yeah, it's just one. It's one body.
Okay.
But
So
from
Avatar
the
has the
BlizzCon
one
build,
exception.
it might have been a bug with the BlizzCon build, but Hive Mind was hitting twice and stuff. But like for
Okay, I was
damaging
gonna say
abilities, it's only
that
once.
seems to be the only exception there.
Yeah,
The
that's
Hive
like.
Mind thing.
That's a bit- huh.
I think.
So does Hive Mind shield him twice, right?
Yeah.
An interesting thing about Cho'Gall, though, is his body size relative to other heroes seems so disproportionate. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think ogres are really, like, that big when you
Well,
have, like,
it's part of the-
Diablo.
It's
Diablo
part of the
looks, like,
fantasy, though.
super
They
tiny.
want him to feel like this, like
Oh,
a
yeah,
raid
I
boss. They
claim
want him
to
to
get
feel
it.
massive.
I get it, but when you think about it, like, you can't even say the word logically when it comes to this kind of stuff, but when you think about it logically, Diablo being this small and Cho'Gall being this big is so funny.
Yeah.
2 heads, 2 hats, says chat.
Abathur clone only gets you Cho. You don't get access to any of Gall's
This
ability,
hat
which
is-
makes sense.
Ridiculous, man.
I
don't know.
loved when they said that if your Cho player DCs as Gall, he'll just like try and follow your pings. Like I just thought that was so funny.
Oh, no.
That's actually a pretty funny
That's- I
question.
didn't think about that.
I'm glad somebody thought of that.
Yeah.
All right. So those are the 3 new heroes. Obviously, the 4th would be Tracer, and I know you're
I don't
very
even know if it
excited
counts. We don't
about
even know when she's
Tracer.
coming out.
But
God,
well,
she's
presumably
gonna
you get
be
Tracer as part of the Origin bundle for when you buy Overwatch,
So potentially 8 months from now.
right? So it's going to be a long while before we have her, but she's coming to Heroes of the Storm. We know nothing about her kit. We're not going to speculate. Other things that they announced about heroes, just functionality-wise, right? So we know the 4 heroes, but they said talent gating is being cut from the game. So talent gating will be removed. Let's rejoice. Everyone clap.
Thank God.
Yay, my Smurfs.
Now I can play in Europe, right? Without hating my life. I hate playing viewer games in EU just because I don't have talents. It drives me nuts.
On top of that, and this is probably the next thing, is that they're increasing the hero pool from
Ooh.
7 to
That's
10.
awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
7 to
To
10.
the free hero pool, which
That's
you know,
great.
Jared mentioned the Smurf thing. I think that's a really big factor in terms of why the queue times are so long for very young accounts. Because everybody's just trying to pile onto those like 6 heroes, and it's like, okay, well, if everyone
How
on
do you
the team,
form a comp
yeah,
with
right.
that?
Not even that. It's just from a queue perspective. Like if everyone's trying to play these heroes, it's difficult to put everyone into a group. But if you have 10 heroes, I still think that those 10 heroes like in the pool should be randomized per player's account.
That'd be nice.
To some extent, I don't know. Even if they want to try to find a balance for it, where it's like there's a couple warriors and like a couple supports, assassins, whatever. But like, I think that would go a far way. I'm not really sure what the limitations are there in terms of why they can't do it, because somebody's had to have thought of it and they couldn't have done it for whatever reason. But that's going to be good. Either way, expanding it out by another 3 or 4 heroes goes a long way.
Yeah, that's a really good change. These small quality of life changes to the game are always really good.
I think the changes that everyone's most excited about is the fact that they're gutting matchmaking. They're going back to the drawing board and they're just completely reworking matchmaking. This has been probably the biggest, most consistent complaint in the history of Heroes of the Storm. Jared, you're making a face.
Yeah, I don't know about artifacts, man. That was the community.
Well, that was quick and sweet.
Did they like
What are
announce
those?
a date to new matchmaking? Did they say anything definitive?
They said
about
by
this
the
system?
end of the year. We've
I
got
thought he
2
I thought he
months.
said sooner than that. He
said
tentatively
in the
within
coming
next,
weeks.
like couple coming weeks. Yes.
Yeah.
But he was like,
Well,
no
that's-
promises, and there may be some issues in which prevents us from executing this. So don't hold me to that. But he would like to put it out within the next couple weeks. Which
Right.
is
I just feel
But-
like we've been in a constant state of new matchmaking, like we're aware and we're working on it. So
Right, but
if it's actually coming out by the end of the year, that's great.
their
But I
goal
just
is like within the next 5 weeks, and that's
Okay.
really good.
I think it'll be with the new map. The new map's already been shipped to PTR. When that patch hits, that
Oh,
balance
God,
patch,
you're getting me too excited, man.
then
I don't think so. I don't think so.
You don't think the
that's-
MMR will be on that
that
patch?
seems the better. Yeah, they're rebuilding the entire system.
Did they say anything about it though? That's what gets like they didn't say anything specific, right? That's
About
what gets
what?
me nervous
About
about the new matchmaking. What they're changing about it.
They're
feel
rebuilding
like-
the entire thing. If you actually go back and watch Dustin's talk on it, he's very transparent, and I would recommend that everybody, if you're going to watch anything from a panel perspective, go find Dustin's 20-minute segment where he's talking about this, because he explains the entire thing about like how the system works, and now it's going to be a queue system rather than like okay, we have 10 people or we have 100 people in this pool. Let's rearrange them to find the best matchmaking. Now it grabs you and it says, okay, we're gonna find people for you rather than trying to switch people up and make games.
That's good.
So from that perspective, it should be better. And he said something about the length of the queue time not really making or having.
That sounds like only that. I don't know. That sounds like that only affects how long you're in a queue, though. Like, what about at the higher rating, though? When
As a high MMR player, I want to wait an hour to play a good game.
That
then
sounds
instead of playing or waiting 10 minutes, like what I do when I solo queue, as soon as I get close to 600 seconds, I cancel queue and re-queue, just because like there's no point in playing a game that's not going to be fair and balanced on both sides. And the only way that you're going to let that happen is at the very, very top, it's going to happen. Just look at Dota, look at League. The pro players are going to be stuck with 30 to 40-minute queues, and I'm okay with that. I just want to be able to play good games, and I can't do that right now, and it's really frustrating.
All those changes sound to me is just like it's making it like easier to get into games, which I guess is good for lower people. But I don't know. I think the main matchmaking complaint has never been about like queue times. It's about the quality of the games.
That's what he's saying, though. Is he's saying the system is now built up from the perspective of matching your MMR to everyone else in your team and your opponents, rather than just like taking a big pool of people and just getting the best that they can.
So once it finds someone that's around your rating, you're like locked in with that person. Is essentially what's happening.
Pretty much. I think that's the case.
Instead of just like the shifting thing you brought up. Okay.
Yeah.
Like right now, it's so unpleasant. Even with the bump up to 10 minutes, it's super, super unpleasant because I'll turn on an episode of Netflix and get super immersed in the show.
I've never watched Netflix.
Oh,
what is Netflix about?
And then I'll be like, oh crap, I have to cancel queue, and it ruins my TV show. So Blizzard is ruining my Netflix experience.
My viewing experience.
And
My
I think it's
brand.
unfair. I think it's unfair.
I mean, we've talked about it before that, like in League of Legends and Dota and stuff. Like we're at esports shows, like we do care about that 0.01%. But this only affects the top of the top. People would prefer, the waiting in a long queue for one really good game, like a 40-minute plus queue. Like in League, you used to see League streamers sit there for like 30 to 40 minutes just like playing Hearthstone for one really good game. And, one of the main complaints from pros in this game is like they would rather do that than, get really bad games. They would rather wait for a really long time.
Yeah, hopefully they know that. I mean, they know the feedback for that, but I don't know how.
Yeah.
Whether it's like a checkbox or something. We've suggested that before.
All we can do at this point is hope,
wait and see,
and trust that they know what they're doing. Obviously, they've realized after multiple tests with the current system, which was strictly modeled after the StarCraft system, the changes they were making sometimes even made it worse. So that's why they're gunning it and going with something completely different, and we just gotta wait and see, like Koob said. Additionally, Grandmaster League is confirmed.
Jake,
again.
what did I tell you before we even went to BlizzCon?
You said we need new matchmaking and we need a Grandmaster League.
One thing I wanted to see was a Grandmaster League. That's like the hugest change.
Jake listed two things you wanted, though.
Well, Grandmaster League was number one for him, but Grandmaster League does a lot of things. It gives players something to work towards. It gives players, some players might get bored of just grinding ladder, but now if you can grind the ladder
it has two effects. One is for the actual individual player. They get more reason to stay in and play the game, especially at that really high level. The second effect is it improves the viewing experience for streamers like tenfold. You jump into someone's game like, oh, they're rank 1. Yeah, they've been rank 1 for like the last month. Like, what's
the progression, right?
What are we joining this stream for? Like, what do we feel like we're attached to? Nothing. You just like the personality, hopefully. Like, I mean, that works to an extent. But if you can see that person is climbing the ladder, like
they joined the stream to watch the wiggles.
Well. You watch Hearthstone, you're like, oh, the guy's so close to legend. Then he gets there, and it's like you want to see like how he climbs to get to the top.
Or like rank
ladder.
1 legend,
Exactly.
Like
all
Colento
that.
Or someone.
That makes so much better to watch somebody when you see some progression, and there's nothing for that in Heroes. That's why I wanted to see this Grandmaster League so badly.
So, is it like? So I saw just a picture of it.
Yeah,
a big number. It was like 700 and something. So clearly it's bigger than the StarCraft 2 Grandmaster, which makes sense because StarCraft 2 is a 1v1 game. 200 people in a 1v1 game makes sense, but if it's a 5v5 game, broadening that up to more makes sense. But is it like the StarCraft ladder where it caps out at like X amount, where there's only 200 Grandmasters, or is it like the Hearthstone ladder where several people can make a legend?
Yeah.
But then you hit the actual ranking, where this guy's rank 1 legend, this guy's rank 2 legend.
They didn't specify. They just show.
I
they
hope
show
that
the one
there's a
image.
cap.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Like, I prefer a cap too. Like, if it's capped at 1,000, because I saw a big number. I think 1,000's a good cap for a MOBA. Maybe a little bit lower, like 500. Can't be too.
Doesn't it depend entirely on the player base?
I like 1,000. They showed the graphic they showed said like 781.
Yeah, something like
So that
You,
we
if
can
you
assume
logically
1,000.
Look at it, you just assume it's 1,000.
Yeah.
But for me, like Grandmaster is such a big deal for me because aside from scrims and tournament matches, there has never been a game where I'm like truly passionate about, as far as like solo queue and stuff goes. But if there was a ladder, then suddenly you're gonna see so many people
Absolutely.
just try so much harder. Like, there's never been one game in Hero League that I've cared about as much as I've cared about a tournament match.
Right,
And-
but now if you're like maintaining your top 10 spot in Hero League and you're a consistent streamer and that's something you need to strive for, there's actual merit to winning that game, right?
Yeah.
So it's just so good for the ecosystem. It really is.
Yeah.
It just makes the
great
game
things.
more competitive as a whole, which is what we need. We don't need this game to be. This game can cater to the casual and competitive demographic.
Catter, I see what you did there. You want me to pull up the cat?
But
Yeah, no, it's good like for other things too. Like my team's going through tryouts right now. What are we supposed to do? Look at the top 100 hot dogs? I'm like, well, I guess because hot dog says you're good, maybe we'll give you a chance. You know, an actual accurate MMR where we can see, Sray's actually rank 1. You know, let's
Rank
give him
1
a shot.
Hero League, the end, like Grandmaster.
Yeah, so
That's
it's,
cool.
It's great for a lot of
in League
lot
of
of
Legends,
reasons.
there were a lot of players that actually got recognition because of their solo queue
Yep.
rank. Like,
Yeah.
solely because of that. Like, bringing up Arthlon because of his involvement in the scene. In League of Legends, the reason he got picked up by teams and stuff was because he was, like, rank 3 on North American ladder. Like, he was just an exceptionally mechanically good player, so he got picked up by a team for solely that reason. And there's no such thing as that in Heroes. Like, Sray could be rank 1 hot dogs, and that's great. I'm rank 250 or something like that. I haven't checked in a long time. Or, like, it just doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah, and even with Blizzard announcing the top 200, like that shows where people are in the top 200 MMR. But how many of the best players are still tryharding right now? Like if you look at the list, there's so many
Zero.
players from top teams that aren't even on that top 200 list.
But
so
there
there's
was
People
actual
from Cloud9, the world champions that won't play Hero League. Like, I think K1
Yeah.
Pro is still in his placement matches for Hero League.
Probably.
He only
yeah,
plays
you can
quick
expect
match.
K1 Pro, and he hasn't played Hero League in over 2 months.
Yeah.
except
Yeah.
for like 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well, and a big part of the reason why top-level players, don't play Hero League is the fact that bans do not exist in Hero League, but they addressed
segue.
that. They addressed it, and they will be adding bans into Hero League with the same format that the Road to BlizzCon used, that has bans at the start and bans in the middle. Gosh, we're so good.
that was a great segue.
Oh!
Like you're a good host or something, man. That was awesome.
Someone in chat does bring up a good point, though, that good ladder players does not mean that they're a good teammate.
Yeah,
like-
of course not.
Yeah, that's true.
Of course
Yeah,
not.
they-
I mean,
it-
but it's a great way to be exposed, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you
There's
could
no
be
way
a ladder
to-
warrior,
it's
and you
just
could
another
be
avenue.
the worst pro gamer on the planet, but be individually great at the game, but a terrible teammate. But 50% of those people might be absolute gods
Yeah.
that are destined to become esports legends, right? But but having that resource, having Grandmaster League, and being able to try out those players. You're looking to fill your roster. Tempo Storm is looking to fill 2 new players. They say we're going to try out 10 of the top 10 players or top 20 players, whatever. They're going to learn very quickly whether or not that person meshes with their team, because it's a big part of being esports. And just having that, hot dogs is so... It's a hot dog stand. You're gonna get some filth from a hot dog stand once in a while. Some hot dog stands are great. Other hot dog stands, you're gonna buy the
Just
worst hot dog.
You had that great segue, and then you had to do that, Jake.
This question is more of a hypothetical question than anything else, but it's also directed towards you, Zoya, if you want to answer it.
Sure.
With the current system, like, when you look... I know I've experienced it when we've decided to make a roster change. Who do you try out? The only people that you know of, you don't even know that they're, like, that good at the game, but the only people you know of are players on the established professional teams.
Yep.
Like, so when you make a roster change, the only route you have to go is, look, this is a team slightly below us or above us. Hey, player, come play on our team instead. So like with the current system, it's way more volatile as well because you'll see a big name like I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know if you're actually doing this, but like Tempo Storm is definitely like not going to go into the solo queue player system to look to pick people up. They're going to be like, oh, hey, Cloud9 people, come play for us. Or, hey, Complexity. Or, hey, Cog. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
or, hey, you know the example I'm trying to bring up.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so volatile right now when there's no solo queue ladder to be able to tell who's mechanically strong.
Right. You know, for our tryouts, we are mainly like trying out people who are already on established teams.
Exactly. Like,
Right.
that's what I was saying.
So, an in-game ladder would give you that option.
Did you guys try out anyone just for conversation's purpose that you didn't already know on the ladder?
There's one we potentially might be trying out, but that is someone that was referred to us by C9.
Okay, yeah.
So-
See, that's just like
Oh.
the only way to be a pro, and here's the storm, and this is super unfortunate, and it sucks for the growth of the game. The only way to be a pro is if you can network properly and you know people. That's it.
Yep.
You can't be a pro if you're good at the game.
Well-
You can't be a pro unless you make connections, and I think that sucks.
Yep.
Because there are some people that go into a match with a pro player, will play well, and just won't talk because they're too nervous to ruin their image or something like that. Like,
So-
90% of the pros in NA right now are people who've been playing since the alpha, that are names we've recognized
Right.
since day one.
and how is
Now-
that fair? That
The
just
only
doesn't
people that
make
are
sense.
showing up are people like Stray or like the players on Team Blaze who had to form their own team and play through shit matches and do shitty scrims for 6 months just to finally get a little bit of recognition. But there's never, like, I can't think of there's only 2 players in NA I can think of that didn't have to go through that, and that's K1 Pro and Jaximus.
And they're ex-pros from League. Like they
And
weren't
they're ex-pros
ever-
from other games.
Yeah, they weren't like top level, but they were already known. They had
They
already
had a
their
resume.
lure in the fishing pool.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Damn.
there's
That's the-
two exceptions we've had over the last maybe 9 months.
There might be one, like Athera Angel's kind of one from EU, but I don't actually know his full story. He kind
Yeah.
of pops out of nowhere too, but
Yeah,
I
he's
feel
only
like
been playing
it's
for 3
I feel like
months.
it's Blaze and Barrel Boys. That's like the last 2 times,
yeah,
maybe over
Barrel
the
Boys.
last 9
That
months.
was December.
Yeah, that's
that
what I'm
was
saying. That was a long
December.
time ago, and it was
A year
easier
ago.
to do that kind of thing back then. Blaze, perhaps a bit of an exception, but are we going to see a consistent performance out of them? We're going to have to wait and
Yeah.
see. But if, that long ago was the last time we had a breakout performance with a consistently strong team advancing into the ranks and becoming an established team, yeah, I think we can really point towards there not being a league system. And it's not, I mean, like, hot dogs could work if people took it seriously.
It's just
But
there's no.
that's the thing.
It's just getting
There's
players
a
to
reason
take
we
it
call
seriously.
it hot dogs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, God.
Don't make me do the
Give
hot
people a
dog
shot.
stand reference.
I took hot dogs seriously for the first 10 hours of its existence back in November.
I haven't uploaded a replay in, I don't know,
Exactly.
9 months.
There's no point.
And I know there might be people out there that like do take it seriously, that take hot dogs very seriously, take ladder very
Of course.
seriously. But there's plenty of people you queue up with who aren't taking it seriously. It's like, oh, cool, I'm queuing up with Glaurung. He's on a top 4 team in NA, and Glaurung's just trolling around on Murky because he doesn't give a shit about hot dogs.
Right.
Which isn't Glau's fault, but like it's in a game like Heroes where it's also you have to have all of your teammates try harding for you to be able to have a chance. It's even if you're giving it your all still. There could be people on your
Does
team.
this
who,
make
just
sense?
having fun.
Does this make sense? When I go into Hero League, that's my relaxation mode. I just go into zombie mode, listen to some music for a few hours, and just sit there ultra relaxed. Should that be what ranked mode is?
No.
I think there are, maybe not all pros take it as like relaxed as I do, but a decent amount
Yeah.
just don't take it seriously at all.
There was a term that I learned from StarCraft that I have not heard anyone ever mention in Heroes.
Ladder anxiety.
Ladder anxiety.
It doesn't
no
exist.
One
Doesn't exist.
Is afraid to queue up for Hero League. No one goes, I don't know if I want to do this, guys. I'm not ready.
The
I wanna
general
do, I wanna do
speculation-
4 warm-up games,
Yeah.
before I go into Hero League. That doesn't happen in Heroes.
No.
No one gives a shit.
But hopefully Grandmaster League brings that in, right?
Yep.
Hopefully people will start caring about the rank because, as it stands, everyone says it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Like, the fact that I don't care that I'm not even rank 1 is a testament to the fact that of the lack of emphasis on your rank mattering. I could care less. I play Couldn't care less. Couldn't care less.
So-
Is that what we're calling it now, Jake?
There are a few like
I hate all of you. Anyways, let's wrap up this topic.
one more thing. There are a few things in everyone's gaming careers. I'm just going to use mine as an example, but everyone's done it. Like your promotion from silver in StarCraft 2 to gold could have been like one of your most memorable things because you worked hard to do it, you were passionate about it. And ladder anxiety is attributed to that, but like I don't have very many memories in Heroes of the Storm without it being playing with my team where it's like, yeah, I've accomplished something personal. The only thing was when Soldier and I got world first rank 1. That was literally it.
And you did that in 24 hours too.
26.2 hours.
0.2.
0.2. But still, like it wasn't even like you had to slay for it, right? It was literally
No.
like queued up with good players and you
You played with us most of the time, right?
Yeah.
It was but like that's it, and only 2 people in the world have that experience, and I don't think that's okay.
Yeah.
I think everyone in Heroes should be able to have that memorable moment of ranking up, like Masters League to Grandmaster, just like that thing.
I remember
where you're
hitting
like, holy shit, I did it.
Hitting Diamond in StarCraft, like I made a Facebook status about it. I tweeted about it. Like
those were the best videos to watch. Like I remember Tempo. He was our very first guest. Tempo StarCraft. He does like songs and stuff. I remember his video of him hitting Diamond or Master League. And like there's so many videos of that. Like the sheer joy on people's face. Like when they get out of that game, the pop up happens. They like jump up and down. Like
the satisfaction. Yeah, it feels like you've been working to get better at the game. There's a progression, and you achieve something. And that's what Heroes is lacking. But we do need to move on. There's a lot to talk about today. We're an hour into the show.
That was a lot of fun.
No, it's good, man.
They're good points. They're good points.
At the hour marker, we'll be transitioning over to talk about the new Battleground, Tower of Doom. So, let's roll the video. Boom.
I'm so hypey.
So, Tower of Doom, of course, brand new map, Towers of Doom, excuse me. I didn't know there were multiple towers. They're breaking all the rules, right? This is... What?
Go ahead.
Anyways, there are no keeps. There are 3 forts in each side. The boss is the Headless Horseman, as you can see, which confirms he won't be a hero, and it makes you very sad, but it's okay. And the core cannot be attacked in a traditional sense. Instead, I don't know what they're called, honestly, but objectives spawn, as you see, and you channel them, akin to channeling a tribute on Cursed Hollow. When you channel it, you bombard the opponent's curse. Now, at the start of the game, each team has 4 structures, a core and 3 forts. So when you channel one of the tributes, you will do 4 damage to the opponent's core. But if you destroy an enemy team's fort, it will actually revive in your favor. So this will actually change it. You kill 1 fort. This is going to actually make it so your team's objective will do 5 damage, and their team will only do 3. Obviously, if you control all 6 of the forts, your team will do 7 damage, and theirs will only do 1 if they channel a fort. Teams start with 40 health. Mules do not work on the core. 40 damage taken to your core, and you lose. It's a complete new take on the game. It's complete. You never go into their base. You actually you can't go into their base. And I don't know. They're really taking the concept of a MOBA. They've already broken a lot of rules with heroes like Abathur and Cho'Gall, but now they're breaking the rules with a map. And personally, I'm very excited for this.
The cool thing about this map is it's very different from other maps. Like when the Battlefield came out, it had its own unique meta. This map will actually have a completely different meta potentially because of the main fact that there is no momentum you gain from winning objectives, from taking forts. You don't get catapults that will constantly push momentum in your favor. You don't get any advantage from winning the first 5 tributes. You can completely draft a composition that we see sometimes on Tomb of the Spider Queen with Asmodan and like Kael'thas and stuff, where it's 100% a late game comp.
I hate this map. I can't bottle it in anymore. I can't. I hate this map. Just after playing it a few times and thinking about it conceptually, the first thing that comes to mind, this map is going to be very good to pick against the Koreans because of this reason right here. Abathur, Murky, Tassadar, Brightwing. It's going to be so annoying on this map. Just compositions like that, I think, are going to shine on this map. And Cloud9 showed that it worked on Cursed Hollow, that sort of unkillable constant harassment comp. So when it comes to this map, it's going to be so annoying to deal with that stuff. And like Zoya said, there's no momentum. You can't establish a lead other than experience, and there is wave manipulation to an extent by killing the enemy team's forts, but nowhere near to the extent of that on like Dragonshire or Cursed or on Tomb of the Spider Queen. So it's just like I haven't played it enough to make like a firm 100% judgment, but I'm like 98% sure that it's going to be a shit show in competitive, at least until a meta is established, because I don't know yet.
I almost just want to like. This is going to be an extreme opinion. I don't want it playable in competitive for a very long time. For a very long time. I think it's such a weird design. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a healthy map for the game. I think it's just it's so different with how you have to play it, and not in a good way. Like
you can't establish and secure a lead, and you need that. You need for comebacks to happen. You need to have a person who is clearly winning, and that's what makes comebacks so special. If a game is literally even the entire time, it's just not as exciting to me. It might be to others, but I'm not sure.
I agree. Like there's situations that, like, let's just say you draft an early game comp, you win the first 4, suddenly their core is at 20 HP, and then your composition kicks in. You got a late game comp, you win that, and then suddenly it's just like you're gonna win the next 5 of them, and you're gonna win the game or whatever. Like there is nothing you gain from winning early on, outside of just
fun to play,
points on the board.
It is fun to play. I just don't like how it'll work in competitive play based off my reasonably educated guess.
You mean you gain nothing from winning? Are you just saying like drafting something that thrives early is bad? Is that the main?
Like, okay, what happens? Let's say you take all the forts. Let's just put it extreme state. You take all 6 forts. You have all of them on your side. Yeah. You've done like 20 something damage to their core. Suddenly, a few team fights happen. They take all their forts back. And now they just have like the advantage, like they're just winning the game.
How is that not different from any other map? If you
all of a sudden
lose the ability to take a team fight, then you just lose the game.
No, if you body someone in a fight, in an early game, you take their keep, the entire game they are punished for that. The entire game. They do not have that keep, and they have catapults pushing
If you're playing a composition where you suddenly lose the ability to team fight, you're going to lose regardless.
But the thing is,
change the fact that it's on this Battleground or a more traditional one.
On this map, there's a minimum timer for the game, which is what bothers me. No matter what, if you kill all of their forts, you have to capture the shrines, I believe, if my math is right, 6 times. Because
but they spawned like
they spawn
4
like
of them
2 minutes
on the
apart,
shrine, right? And 2 can spawn at a time. And the headless horseman, the boss, just does auto damage to the core. So taking a boss is incredibly valuable, right? Giving up a boss is giving up a curse. It's giving up a dragon. It's giving up permanent damage on your base, and it's so impactful.
Arguably, but there's no momentum you get from taking that boss unless that boss is a fatal move. You kill that boss and win the game with the 4 shots it shoots at core. Then you killing that boss gives you nothing except for a little bit of XP. Like in the grand scheme of things, there could be more team fights.
I'm one of the people that actually likes the idea that if the core is down to 3 health, right, 3 out of 40. And you manage to play perfectly for the late game and come back 20-3 and win the game. I think that's exciting.
I don't think so.
I don't think that's exciting either.
Like, no, what's exciting? Whenever they're pushing core, they wipe, and then suddenly that team gets to come back and win.
How is that any different than this?
No, it's not exciting. You're winning like 36 HP on your core. Their core has 4 HP. And then 15 minutes later, after they won every single objective after that, after a long fucking game where they just, like, every 2 minutes, they did 6 damage to the core. Cool. Every 2 minutes, they did 6 damage to the core. And 20 minutes passed of this comeback. That's not exciting. That's fucking boring.
Well,
that is such a slow comeback. Comebacks need to be like, bam, we won. You know? They need to be like explosive. 2 fights, suddenly they have a lead. In this game, what? You win a fight, you do 4 damage to their core. Cool comeback. Let's see what happens in 2 more minutes. We do like 8 damage this time because there was 2 we caught.
You guys
cool. Their core is still at 22 HP.
Arguing about this.
Look who we talk.
I'm all right, really quick. I just linked a screenshot to you. This is what an exciting game of Heroes of the Storm, like what Jared was illustrating, looks like. When you go to push core, You wipe, the enemy team wins at 1%.
Sweet image. Thanks for that.
Nice.
I'm just curious as to why he had that image loaded up.
I have a folder of all the little funny things that happen in scrims.
Okay. But the thing with this map is this breaks the rules of what we expect a MOBA map to look like, and it's experimental, right? What Jared said. Maybe this map shouldn't be included in tournaments off the bat. That's a fair statement to make, and I don't know if I agree or disagree because I haven't played on it yet, and I think the game does at least need some playtesting, at least in the competitive scale, before we see it in tournaments. But the fact that they're willing to shake things up and try something different to this extent, I think is very cool, and I think it's good for the genre. All the maps feel like recycled objectives in a lot of ways. When we talked about several Battlegrounds, it's just like, hey, look, this is how they just recycled A objective with B objective. And they're changing things quite a bit. This is a new take on the game. And having diverse maps where diverse styles, maybe the late game style thrives here. Is that bad for competitive? Each team needs to be able to play the game in different ways.
No, that's true.
Yo, Cho'Gall is going to be sick on this map.
That is a very valid point, Jake, that, that certain maps should have, where both teams draft late game. My fear is, I think some of the most boring games in competitive are when a team clearly gets outdrafted.
Yeah. Where
it's just like this team won the draft hard, and then we see it to 2-3 level lead the whole game. That happens even at the highest level kind of consistently, and it's been one of the complaints that, Dunk Train's brought on, like a lot of our guests brought on that, like the draft is so important, and if you even mess up the slightest, you're going to lose the game because of it, and there's almost nothing you can do about it. I think this map is almost an extreme version of that the draft is going to be more important on this map than any map we have.
Because it doesn't matter if you build an early lead by outplaying people if simply your heroes are not as good as the enemy team's heroes at doing their job. Like, I'm like super passionate about this because it makes me angry, but I think this map sucks.
Okay.
Right now.
First impressions again. This is
definitely first impressions, and I'm open to letting it change my mind. Like a good example for me is I hate Tomb of the Spider Queen. It's by far my least favorite map because it's so boring. Like as a spectator, the traditional way of playing Tomb of the Spider Queen is it's wave clear simulator, and then eventually one team turns in, pushes a fort down, overextends, loses a team fight. The other team gets to turn in, then takes boss, and then throws while pushing with boss. Then the other team regains the momentum, turns in again, eventually kills the keeps, and it's game over. It's just like such a boring style of map in my opinion. I like the more explosive style where it's super punishing. You win a team fight, you get 2 temples and a boss, or you get a dragon knight or a garden terror. Well, garden terror not so much, but you know what I mean.
So let's talk. We're talking about this game being a late game map, and they did something very unique with this map where the Raven Lord, or the other boss, I can't think of his name right now, it's 2 Nexus bosses thematically, and then they have this horseman. So they took all these evil, haunted theme bosses, will summon you a portal in your base, which will teleport you to the center of the map. And this is putting an emphasis on never fighting in the back lines, keeping you in the center of the map and brawling as often as possible. So as much downtime as there might exist in the late game, they're trying to get you back in action. You say it's cool. You guys think it's good for the game. The fact that this is like a new
Not
mechanic.
from a competitive standpoint.
Okay.
But like,
it just makes wave manipulation that much more or less important too, because then if they take your bottom fort, it's not a bad thing. It's not going to slow your route or make you scared of vision because you can just click on the teleporter and appear in the middle of the map. Yeah. That's like one argument you can make, but what I like about it, like I don't know how good it'll be. I'm in the dark, but what I do like about it is the potential as a team. Hey, we just killed them. They're spawning in 15 seconds. We're going to cap whatever it's called that shoots bullets at their core, and then we're going to camp the middle waypoint and wait for them to come. Like, little plays like that are going to be really cool because of it in competitive, but at the same time, it makes wave manipulation less important.
I think another big thing is one of the... It's a cool thing to an extent that a lot of people like about Heroes, but is it too different, right? Like everyone loves that each map has a different way to play. Like Dragonshire, Blackheart's Bay, they're all different. But when you have like 8 maps in the map pool that are all the same play style, where you have to go kill the core, and then you add in this one, is that going to be too confusing for newer players? Is that too much of a difference there? When does being creativity, or when does the creativity that Blizzard does, like with Cho'Gall and stuff, when does that end up being a bad thing? For casual, is it bad? For competitive, I think for casual, I don't think it's bad. I think things like this are awesome and fun. But for competitive, if I'm tuning into Heroes the first time and I see like the difference between Dragonshire and Blackhearts, that's something you can catch on. But the difference between Dragonshire and Tower of Doom, or whatever the hell it's called,
Towers of Doom.
I don't know. Is that too much of a difference? Will it be? I don't know.
What I
don't like the idea of it in competitive at all.
I think it can work though. What I'd like to see is the way the games are broadcasted maybe be changed. We're not currently big enough. We don't have as much of a following to do this yet. But what Dota did with the international, they had
the newbie stream,
the newbie stream, and a regular stream. Like
yeah, that's a cool idea.
I personally, I think you guys are great commentators. Like, don't get me wrong, but my biggest issue with the way commentary is done in Heroes of the Storm and in the draft, it's just like there's so much time explaining things that I don't think need to be explained. That might just be because I am super experienced with the game. I get that I'm more of an outlier when it comes to watching the game, but I think it's like really annoying when drafts going and every little ability of the character is being explained, or like
you have to realize it's the first year of Heroes, and that's a very Blizzard specific thing that they want us to convey. And that's not something that will be consistent throughout the game's life.
For sure, and that's what I'm hopeful for.
Yeah, don't worry about that. That's because the game is younger, and Blizzard wants to make sure that we're hitting multiple audiences.
Eventually, I just hope that Heroes will have a large enough following that we can attack every demographic in the same way so that everyone is satisfied. So you have the people who've been watching the game and playing the game.
You're comparing Dota, which has a history of how many years, versus Heroes, which is a new beast.
Or something like that,
yeah.
For sure. And again, I'm not attacking you guys as commentators or
anything.
Of
course.
I just wanted to share with you my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
to summarize what he said, you two suck at casting.
Damn! Thanks, Glaurung. So Towers of Doom, Kubi, you haven't said a whole lot overall. Thoughts on the map?
Yeah, because you guys are ridiculous. That's why. I think the way you're arguing about the map is it's really weird. Like, you guys just something like, I understand that it's for a late game, but like when you're talking about like not being able to get early game advantages and like it being garbage because it's like different. It's just the weirdest argument. I don't even like know where to jump in. If the map is fine, just play it, guys. Like it's gonna be like a really PvP style map. Like there's nothing wrong with that.
I think
there's a difference between winning the early game. Like when we say winning the early game, we're not talking about winning like pre-10. Like I'm talking about like if you dominate to like level 16, and then suddenly the map resets. What the hell happened to your head?
It's the same for every other map. If you get to level 16 and then start wrecking the other team, you're gonna win anyway. It's the same for this map.
With this perspective, if you're dominating from someone to level 16 and then suddenly they catch up by 18, you can see what has transpired by looking at the mini-map, seeing what keeps have been taken. But on this map, if you dominate and then suddenly someone makes a combat, they take their force back, they level up the experience through wins. The only difference you can tell on the map is looking at core HP, and that has no influence on how the game is played right then. At that second, nothing has changed. But if you, on any other map, if you lose a keep, you are playing with that
disadvantage
injury the entire game. You are always being influenced by that.
So
but
what
on
is
this
the
map,
style of map? Like, what's the problem with that?
I don't
understand. Like, why is that an issue? They're just changing the way that the map is played. Just because there isn't something permanent that changes other than the core health, that doesn't make it a bad map.
XP leads are such a fragile
bad
thing.
because it's different. That's all you guys are saying.
Well,
I'm
about to make a different argument. The way I'm looking at it is XP leads are such a fragile, volatile thing, right? Yeah. And that's the only major advantage that you can get on that map. Like, I'm not wrong. The only advantage you can get is an XP lead. And the way the game works currently, if you're 2 to 3 levels ahead and you get wiped, suddenly it's an even game. Whereas, like, if you're 2 to 3 levels ahead in another game to build off your point, Kubi, and you get team wiped, you're the same level, but is it an even game? No, because with your level advantage, you've been able to take a keep or 2 keeps or major objectives, like on Sky Temple, you've been able to whittle down their base. Like, there's just your entire lead is based off XP, and that is so volatile.
Mike, I'm not arguing any of those points. Like, that's fine, but this is just slightly different. That's all. It's not bad because of that.
Slightly. I think it's a whole lot less enjoyable.
If I play, you don't even know. How do you know? Like, how do you know? From like,
no, we're not dumb. We can look at the map and tell if I'm outplaying someone.
Competitive games on this. Okay. All right.
Okay. Well, time will tell with this map. Obviously, breaking some rules. Thematically, it's very cool. It's dark. Blizzard. We would like a few things. I'm just going to say this as we leave the map discussion. We got 2 Dark Diablo maps. Now you're giving us this Haunted Halloween map. Halloween's over. You missed that boat. 1. That's my big beef with you, but it's cool. I still like it. But give us happy maps. Talking to Grubby about this.
Dude.
And, like, happy color palettes, like, that's our jam, right?
Dude, we need a Whimsyshire.
We need a Whimsyshire. Give us Whimsyshire. Give us a StarCraft map. Like, a very beautiful StarCraft map. Give us Warsong Gulch.
Jake.
Knowing Blizzard, we'll get our Christmas map in February.
Oh, give us a Christmas map! Yes!
Like,
the Abominable Snowman versus Santa Claus! Yes!
Jake.
My guess is February we'll get our Christmas map.
Jake, how sad are you that Headless Horseman's never going to be a hero in the game?
I'm beyond sad. So let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the new mode. Actually, you know what? Before we talk about the new mode arenas, since I have this on the screen, this is just a very quick point we're going to bring up. Experience earned is gone. Takedowns is now been divided to kills and assists. This is just going to award you a kill for getting a last hit. This is something that is going to be a nice quality of life thing for assassins. Fundamentally, this changes nothing with the game. As a caster, I can say the Zeratul has gotten 14 kills, and that is a stat that sounds impressive in that scenario, right? So ultimately, I like to break up the takedowns. I like the kills assists. Is the experience thing needed?
I think it's bad.
You think
I don't know. I like the stat of experience gain, especially from like a maybe. Well,
that's a question, right? So you like it, but Glau doesn't seem to like it.
It's just you. If you say you got more XP than someone, it's not as cool as saying, "Oh, I have 10 kills and 2 deaths. I have a 5.0 KDA."
But you think this is also relevant to an Abathur player? You think this is also relevant to a Lost Vikings player, where they're putting a huge emphasis on soaking?
I don't think Mike's like you're bringing up the point that's like it's either you get XP gain or you get kills and assists. Why can't you just have both? Why not have both?
That's my opinion as well.
So the thing I wanted to bring up before all that stuff, I just barely got confused. But the difference between takedowns and kills, assists, and deaths. To me, when I want to watch Heroes of the Storm as a spectator, I want an explosive game where things can be hype. If someone has 10 kills on a single hero, like this Zeratul has 12, I think. Oh, no, you just said that. There's not a Zeratul in the game. But if someone has like 12 kills, that's so much more exciting than
saying they have 32 takedowns.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
it also feels more impactful than saying their top damage. If it happens to align, that's great, but there's a lot of heroes, like in this case, sure, Nazeebo might have the top kills. But a lot of the times, Nazeebo having top damage isn't really that impressive because the damage is so like sustained and just spiders biting at your butt.
So personally, I like the change to kill, death, assist.
Yes, that's good.
I think that's awesome. And
kill, death, assist.
I didn't want to, like when I was saying earlier, I didn't want to get the whole thing confused because I was arguing a different point. I'm not saying that that's better than XP and XP needs to be gone. I think the XP thing is cool. I just never wanted it to be the main highlight of the score screen.
But
and
do you think it should be back in the game?
Because there are the niche characters like Abathur and Vikings and stuff where that it's pretty important. Maybe in their role. Yeah. Like, I don't know where you'd put it if you just keep the tab there of XP gained. I don't know if that's wasting too much screen space. But they already have a role thing that's being unused on most of the specialists and assassins. You could just, for their role, XP contribution instead of stuff like that.
I mean, I don't think it should be limited to specialists, though. Like Brightwing, XP contribution, when you're doing the ETC stage dive, that's kind of starting to make a comeback. You could see how impactful it is there. I mean, if you have to, like, if Blizzard's like, we are limited to this amount of space, and we either have to only do kills and assists or XP contribution, then clearly I think everyone will agree kills and assists is more wanted. But if you can get experience back.
Yeah, I don't want to see
think it's
experience
important.
completely gone, but if it's one or the other, then definitely kills, deaths, and assists.
Coobs, any thoughts?
No, I agree with everything that's been said.
Okay.
I think having both is great. Like Jared was saying, kills and assist split is probably slightly preferred over experience, but I can understand why people are upset that experience is getting or taken away.
Cool. Okay, Arenas mode. This is the new game type that was announced at BlizzCon that will be coming out much later this year. It's not anywhere soon by the sound of what they said in the panels, but it's really cool. So they break the rules of what we know in Heroes of the Storm. This is kind of what ARAM is in League of Legends, where it's 5 heroes. Each player loads up, and then you get 3 options as to which hero you play in that game. Your hero starts at level 10, there are no talents, and you get heroics. You can see there are 10 Novas in that game in the video. Actually, when we played at BlizzCon, it was me, Zoya, and Kubi, and the first game that we played was 5 Sylvanas versus 5 Sylvanas. Now, since there are no minions, they take
Possession,
I was going to call it promote, away, and they just give you Wailing Arrow as an option. And it's just like Wailing Arrows flying everywhere, like the Nova's all casting that at the same time. Here's the screen where you pick your hero. I'll pause that for a moment. But it's really different. It's really fun. It's breaking the norm of what we're used to, and it's just another way to enjoy the game, right? The game length is maybe 5 minutes for an average game, up to 3 rounds per game. You have to win. It's a 2 out of 3 by default.
I think it's a brilliant idea. Blizzard took the idea of an ARAM and just professionally did it. If you look at ARAM, it was just like thrown in there as a
Community
fun
thing, yeah.
to do, a community thing. But when you look at this, it's actually reasonably balanced for both teams. No matter what, if you on one team have 1 support and 4 warriors, the enemy team is also going to have their selection of 1 support and 4 warriors. Like, that makes it more balanced, so you're not going to have like 2 supports versus a team of 5 assassins, you know, where it's just like there's clear like undertuned teams or overtuned teams. I just think it's like a really professionally done ARAM. And that's awesome.
There's multiple maps. Each map has their own little objective. The one where you collect 100 seeds, that ends the game. There's the one where you have the temples. It's basically you control the temples, destroy the core. That'll end the game. Each team has a fountain that is not behind walls, but the fountain has a shield that will regenerate. Destroying a fountain is a strategic point that you could use to your advantage, because I think fountains are more powerful than normal fountains in this mode. Like, it's really cool. It's just a really fun thing. I think it's gonna be awesome.
I also love as a player when you're playing Arena, every time you get a kill, the
crowd cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
I love that. And the 6.5
Oh!
out of 10 posters. Oh my god, those marches. But yeah, dude, I'm so pumped to play this. Like, if Grandmaster's implemented, then I have something to try hard in.
Oh
when I want to
gosh,
try
you think
hard.
it's gonna have ranking?
And then Arena's gonna be my go-to relaxation thing.
I'm gonna stream the
So-
crap out of Arena. It's gonna be super fun.
I don't know. I got a little too overhyped for it. Like during the opening ceremony, Dustin Battle was like, "I have never seen our dev team jump to an idea harder in any game they've worked on. They were so enthusiastic about this." I got super hyped, and I don't know. It's just an ARAM.
It's a
So-
professionally done ARAM.
But it's super. It's a
I-
completely
I-
different game. It's a completely different game.
It's good. It's cool and healthy for the game, but I think people are overhyping it. It's just a different game mode. Like, it's ARAM. Like,
So
when they were hyping up Arena, it was like this cool, brand new game mode where your dev team has never wanted to make something more, and it was ARAM. So it's better. We need more modes, right? We need something that's not heroes for heroes. Like, that's good. I just thought I thought it was a little overhyped because it's like literally. It's a professionally done ARAM.
This is like complaining about Arena mode in Hearthstone and saying
no. What?
it's the same concept as that.
Okay,
where you
so
build your own deck that's you
Arena's
get
fun.
3 options.
Arena
You
in
build a
Hearthstone's
deck.
Fun.
It's
So wait,
ARAM's not
wrong?
fun.
Oh my
All right,
god.
so you're wrong. Let's move on to the next point.
Kubi, what are your thoughts?
It's a lot of fun. I'm glad they put it in the game. It's something that we needed. I have no issues with it.
I think
I don't know how anyone could be mad at that.
I'm not mad. I'm just saying I thought it was a
How
little
can anyone
overhyped.
be disappointed with this?
it's violent agreement. Zoya's just Zoya. So he's violently agreeing with us.
I just thought it was a little overhyped. Is all I'm saying. It's
not.
ARAM.
It's so.
But
I'm so hyped about it. I don't think there's any overhype. I think it's going to be phenomenal. As a streamer, I'm ecstatic about this mode.
The one
Well,
thing
they were-
I'm really excited for about Arena is it's super healthy for the game. If you look at League of Legends, a larger than you'd expect demographic of the game, who watches professional play, plays almost exclusively ARAM. So it keeps spectators interested in a way where they can just casually dick around and have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like I think it's great.
I'll tell you this, Allison and I, when we flew home from BlizzCon, we mapped out a ridiculously complex but yet simple tournament idea for arenas that we're going to be doing next year. And this is not intended to be the most competitive thing in the world. It's intended to be very fun and very cool. And I think it's going to be great for the average player and the best esports players on the planet. It's something new and great for the ecosystem for heroes. G.
Oh no, you guys are acting like you're shitting on me, saying I don't like it. I'm just saying it's just ARAM. Like it's good for the game. It's literally just ARAM though. Like it's not some like godly tier mode that's like added to the game, like Tavern Brawl that added so much more diversity in play. So it's just ARAM. It's an ARAM.
Well, technically, it's 2 League of Legends game modes combined. It's All for One and ARAM together.
What's all for one?
When you can play 5 of the same character versus just 5 of a different same character. You know how you can have 10 Illidan's?
Yeah.
All
okay.
for one was you could select 1 League character.
Dude,
and
I heard
attack
about someone that had a 10 butcher game.
Oh, God.
The timing of your ruthless onslaught to stun each other. You can charge.
Hey,
It sounds so funny to watch.
hey, we have like 15 minutes to talk about the tournament.
Oh, God.
No,
we
hate
can
to
go.
be that
We can
guy,
go
but-
past 2 hours. It's BlizzCon
All right,
show. We
okay,
can go
all right,
past 2 hours.
Just letting you know what time it was.
But any final thoughts on arenas?
I pretty much said all I had to say about Arena. I overall think it's great. Gives spectators something to do when they don't want a ladder. And also, Arena will be so much more cool when ladder anxiety actually is a thing.
Yeah. I think the best of 3 format on it, it's really cool too.
That's awesome, too. We didn't bring that up. That's sick.
really cool. I don't know. There's just a lot of cool things, and it's not just like the 5 versus 5. Like, we had a game where we had the Gazzo plus double Nova. Like, so it's not just, like, guaranteeing you get 5 of everything. Like, there was a situation where we had 2 of one thing. So we were doing Wombo, like I was Gazzo and Jake and Kubi were Nova. So we were just doing, grab a bomb, double precision strike. That was.
The whole team's dead every time. He just hits a grab on the whole, because it's such a small map. They're all funneling around the one objective, and obviously they're terrible at the game. So sorry if you're watching the show.
All right.
Very well. and Jared throws down the gravel, gets the whole team in, and just we were giggling like schoolgirls in the 5th grade that just got a hot date. It was great.
I don't know if that actually happened. It's fun. It's a cool game mode. Yeah.
5 Lunaras was so chaotic.
Oh, that sounds so fun. Can you flip over a flipping Lunara?
Yeah,
and
it's
he
just
got
like,
a game with 5 Murkies.
oh God, that would be bad.
Okay, so just so people know, there's no talents. Not even like 1 through 10. Like you're at level 10. You're always at level 10. There's no experience gain, and there's only a heroic talent. You don't get 1 through 7 talents. You don't get other talents. It's literally so when it comes to like competitive, like if just say some people like Jake's doing his dumbass arena tournament. Maybe Tempo Storm's already got 1 approved. I don't know. That would be cool, wouldn't it? Wouldn't like there would be completely different heroes that like thrive off talents, right? Like when you see them in competitive play, there are heroes that without their talents they are bad.
Well, I think this sucks because there's no way to maintain your advantage.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
Glow.
Senator Glarong.
I knew that would get Kubi going.
I wonder
So I had to say
if I'm curious if they'll have like a custom game mode of it where you get to like just use the maps and you pick your comps, or no matter what, if you load into it, it's always ARAM. Because I also would think it would be fun to like just have those maps as like there, and then like you do actual games on it, like where you do a draft and stuff. I like what kind of versatility Blizzard's willing to do with those maps in form of custom games. because if they're willing to just like sandbox and be like, you can host a game and then let people draft their comps, that could be really cool as well. Just adding more fun to the game.
All right, well, arenas, we'll get it eventually, but unfortunately, it seems like it's probably a few months off at the minimum. Let's move over to talk about the Heroes of the Storm World Championship. Now, if you didn't watch it, this is going to be spoiler intensive, so this is your cue to turn around and watch the VODs, because it was one hell of a weekend.
Watch Navi versus DK, then watch Tempo Storm versus the Chinese team,
Braveheart.
then watch Cloud9 DK. Those are the 3 games of the tournament.
Don't watch them in that order. Watch Tempo
no.
versus Braveheart first, then watch
It's
Navi
so
versus,
funny. Watch that set first.
Cloud9 versus DK, then the grand finals.
Dude, you think Navi DK is the last match you should watch?
No, the grand finals is the last match you should watch.
Yeah. Except for that.
Yeah.
Not
Navi
the
DK, yeah, you should watch that too. But that's not BlizzCon. That's pre-week.
Yeah, that's opening week.
Oh,
that was
yeah,
DK. That was DK throwing in Game 3, but
God, that was such an entertaining game.
we kind of talked about that last week, I think. We did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so we're not going to cover opening week. We're strictly going to cover BlizzCon.
Yeah, Glaurung.
I'm sorry.
God.
It's all a blur.
I am sorry.
So, obviously, going into BlizzCon, this is the World Championship, the first ever World Championship. Everyone's trying to prove whose region is the best. And let me get my American flag gif ready.
You know what I love, though?
Oh!
Just initially, C9 does this interview when they're talking about DK. And again, I'm going back to that match. But what I love about C9 is they recognize the Korean strengths. And they're like, hey, we're all pretty good at the game, too. But our greatest chance of winning is doing something they're not used to, because they are also so good at the game. So game 1, you see the Rexar pick on Dragonshire. You haven't seen that before. And then game 2, you see Abathur Murky Tass. While everyone on Cloud9 is extremely talented mechanically, I just love the fact that they're able to recognize a team's strengths and weaknesses and build off that. That's what makes them world champions for me. It's not that K1's a god. It's not that Dunk Train has that magnificent beard. It's literally that they can identify a team's strengths and weaknesses and play around that.
So, speaking of
Thanks, Al.
game number 2, the unkillable composition. Leorc, Murky, Abathur, they went Brightwing Tass? Is that what it was?
Yes. Leoric, Brightwing, Tass, Murky, Abathur.
This is a type of cheese developed to defeat Tempo a long time ago, correct?
Yep.
And they were pretty aware that they considered this a cheesy strategy. And they were pretty aware that Korea
Can I
might...
reveal something real quick? You know how we figured out how to beat that composition in scrims? We started banning Murky.
Yeah, you guys did do that. That's actually, they would ban Murky in the second rotation.
Yep. We started banning
funny.
Murky.
But unless you know, there's no way to know that it's going to happen,
Yeah,
right?
no,
So,
no.
which is why it was so genius.
Just so you know, we figured out how to beat it. Just ban out the fucking Murky.
But when you're coming here to the global stage, you're coming here BlizzCon. This is your qualification match for grand finals. And you have an opportunity to bust out a strategy like that. Why wouldn't you do it? Like, I thought it was brilliant. The moment it was happening, we were actually sitting back there with Dustin Browder and Cloak and Kevin Johnson and talking to them about it. And they were just like, what is going on in this draft? And Jared and I were just like...
I remember calling it right when they first picked Abathur. I said they're going to go Murky. Both Dustin Browder and Cloak
like,
looked
no.
at me like I was an idiot.
Yeah, they're like... What
And then the moment Murky was picked, they're like, what? It was hilarious.
So
Dude, they won the crowd with that
Oh
draft.
my
Even
God.
if they lost,
Absolutely
the
did.
crowd cheered harder for
Dude.
Murky than they did when Cloud9 3-0'd Dignitas.
there was a straight pause on production, a straight pause on the show to just let Murky get his cheer. Like, everything halted because the crowd cheered so hard and so long. It was fun.
Yeah, definitely. I lost my voice during that set. Pretty sure a lot of people did also.
Yeah.
So this is something that I've been saying on the show since I've joined Tempo, and I think everyone's kind of agreed with it. There are times where teams have pocket strats that they randomly bust out in tournaments. For us, we randomly bust out Azmodan. I know Complexity had a few hidden strats that they've used throughout tournament histories, but Cloud9 has consistently been a team who's had pocket strats and has consistently been probably the best drafters in the world. there was maybe a 2-month period where Tempo had the edge over Cloud9, where we would outdraft them because of the promote cancer, though. They did not know how to deal with that playstyle. But outside of that, even when we were still beating them, we were getting outdrafted. They just didn't know how to team fight late game. But Cloud9 has consistently been the only team who has always busted out weird strategies that they refine and then hide for tournaments. And they've always been a team who's just been the best drafters. Like, hands down. They are the best drafters in the world. They've always been good. Even that 3-month period where Tempo was beating C9, they were the best drafters in the world. They always knew how to draft. It's finally good to see that they're learning how to team fight late game. They've melded as a team, and that drafting starting to show. They did not swap a map on the BlizzCon stage. That is huge.
A lot of it can be attributed to how versatile the players are individually. Like, you look at iDream, and he's played everything. Literally, when double support meta was a thing, he was the second support. Double tank's a thing, he's the tank. You see him on melee assassins, he's really good at those too. It's just like K1 Pro can do it with all ranged characters. Fan is very similar to iDream in the sense that he plays all but supports. Like, they just have a really versatile team. Worst case, they can put Caffeine on Murky. Like, they've just got a lot in their arsenal, and that opens them up in the draft. I agree with Zoya. They're just like
just a good
by far the strongest drafting team.
So, Kubi, let's talk about some of the big hero shifts.
Sure.
I mean, obviously, Cloud9 in particular, they might have played Falstead, they might have played Rexar, but Tyrael is a hero that saw a big rise across multiple teams.
13-0 played, and then 15 times banned, I think.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
A stupid statistic.
First real big game that we saw, and I know we talked a little bit about it last week, but that was the game 3, Na'Vi versus DK. Like, Sanctification, when they set it up with Syndragosa, was just making silly plays. As long as you can buy time for Sonya to get in, it's working very well with the melee assassin, just style composition. And even if you can just find ways to force engagements through chokes, and then your team is moving through that choke, and you have a Sanctification there. Also, was it game 2? Or no, it was game number 1 of Na'Vi versus Dignitas.
Yeah.
If you're gonna watch a Tyrael game,
just watch
Blackheart's Fate. Oh my god!
Just watch Earth Hero the entire game. Like, he's incredible on Tyrael that game. He had ridiculous Holy Grounds as a 16 talent, like, that blocks out space, casting it multiple times per fight, blocking and zoning out certain heroes. Almost
that
perfect
game alone,
sanctifications, like, every time.
That game alone made C9 ban Tyrael versus them every game.
Yeah.
Like, that game alone.
That was the right call.
Any Tyrael play ever, watch game 1, Na'Vi versus Dignitas on Blackheart's Bay. That was the, like, Athero won my, like, heart.
Jared went from loving SCSC, and now, was it SC that you were?
Yeah, SCSC.
Best Tyrael, now it's Athero.
Athero, that game.
But seriously, though, it was incredible play. I was just watching backstage, and I was like, I don't even know how to deal with that. Like, and that's probably the same thing that Cloud9 thought.
He literally carried his team that game. He won his team that game with those plays. Like, that's how good it was. You cannot carry single-handedly very often.
But, you know, that's exciting in itself. The fact that we can step away from that game and actually be able to say, like, that guy was MVP hands down. Like, you should be worshiping that guy from that game. Like, we need more of that kind of stuff in Heroes.
Handies all around Athero.
So good.
Yeah.
Handies.
Well, that's cool. No, that is exciting, though. So, yeah, Tyrael was picked up a lot. Like, the Falstad was really busted out during finals, right?
It was just Cloud9 in grand finals.
Maybe Na'Vi played him during opening week. I don't recall. Exactly.
One game on Cursed Hollow.
C9 kept picking Falstad because they wanted to show off. That's the main reason. Not necessarily because it's a stronger pick than other
mechanically.
Picks. It's just they're really good at Falstad, so they wanted to show off.
But it was hype, dude.
It works because Falstad does have strengths. Like on Dragonshire, the global obviously is super, super strong, and it did work with the comp. You needed another niche damage dealer, and the global pressure helped. Especially against, it was just really cool to watch. But
let's talk
those
about
finesse heroes are so awesome.
Let's talk about Cursed Hollow versus Dignitas in the grand finals. The Falstad at the tribute, or the Abathur at the tribute.
Oh, that was a genius play by both teams. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dignitas baiting with the Abathur and then having the Zeratul in position to intercept the Falstad flying in, but Dunk Train having the awareness to follow up on the Falstad to get in range of D-Shield. That was like one team heavily outplaying the other team with a great call, and then C9 had it all along because Dunk Train's in position to D-Shield.
Right.
Like, that was insane.
Oh, man, I just want
to play.
Can we talk about King Caffeine game 1 on Dragonshire? I think it was versus DK. No, yeah, DK.
See how Leoric?
Yeah, his Leoric.
Yeah,
I think.
mean,
Oh, he just
we were
won that
hyping him
game.
up the whole time.
He just won that game.
As an amazing Leoric player, and
That was the
so
Rexar,
good.
right?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
were.
that was Rexar.
Yeah, Dream was on Rexar, and it was.
I don't think I've ever seen I don't know. I think if you were to like isolate anyone's play at any moment, like in any game, that game King Caffeine was the best player in the world.
I agree with
hands
you.
down.
I agree
there was
with you.
one moment where he overextended bot lane and got killed, but even then it's Leoric, it doesn't matter. That was just more like a communication error. Like he wanted to go in and everyone else went out. So, but if you isolate King Caffeine's play, game 1 of DK, he was the best player in the world, hands down.
I think every single player on Cloud9 deserves a ridiculous amount of praise just from the... I mean, obviously they won, right? Obviously they didn't lose the game at BlizzCon, but each and every player played
they all had
so
standout moments
freaking well. It was beautiful to watch. Like, they were
Yeah,
on another level from all the
Yeah, you can probably point at every single player and be like, at some point throughout the BlizzCon tournament, this player won them this game.
Yes.
This player won them. Like, all 5
That
of them.
doesn't
Like,
happen with any other team.
Correct.
Doesn't really. And that's what's
what
awesome.
makes C9 special.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even Tempo, when they were winning everything, for the most part, it was because of, like, a crazy play one of the damages would make, or a crazy shot calling that Dread would make. Like, it never was... There's
no individual outplay across the board,
exactly.
right? Yeah,
I'm trying not to sound like a dick, but, like, the C9 has all 5 players
They're
that
gods.
can exactly, that can fulfill the carry role. If one player isn't having the game of their lives, another player will step up, and that's what makes them so strong.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know another fun fact? iDream is 10-0 on the BlizzCon stage. If you account the exhibition from the
last year,
he won 5-0 on that stage, and this year he went 5-0 on this stage.
Dream
He's
is a
the
god,
only
dude.
2-time world championship for Heroes.
Yeah.
The
Well,
Blizzard's doing really hard to avoid calling that year a championship, but iDream is 10-0 on a BlizzCon
and
stage.
Fan
That is an
is
impressive
undefeated
stat.
on the Dorm stage, and then now at BlizzCon as well. So
Are
They dropped
Undefeated?
maps.
I thought they
dropped
did too,
maps.
yeah.
They almost lost.
Oh, yeah.
They lost to
very
ASU, right?
Yeah, the finals
few
was
games.
3-2.
okay, well he's
Yeah.
a double world champion at least.
He
He's
is,
a
yeah.
collegiate and a real player world champion.
Yeah, I'm talking map score only. iDream went 10-0, and
Yeah, that's pretty
like
good
every
stuff.
one of those players are gods.
Yeah.
I'm so
They
proud of
deserve
them,
it.
man.
They
They
deserve
The
deserve
thing,
it.
since we were hyping up King Caffeine's play, I've played hundreds of games against Caff, and the most annoying thing when I play against him versus other tanks is most tanks, their specialty isn't hitting skill shots. Most of them are just like, oh, I'm good at being a tanky body. But I actually am curious, out of all the games Caff's played Leoric, you could probably count the number of times he's missed his W on your hands. And I'm talking about throughout his professional career, how many times he's missed his W.
He missed it
like-
once at BlizzCon, and that
But-
once.
Exactly. I'm talking on your hands. That was like one entire
Your two
tournament.
hands, Jake.
Exactly. But like his consistency with skill shots, whether he's on Muradin, whether he's on Stitches, he's one of the better Stitches as well. But like that's what makes him strong as a tank player.
Very rarely does like when a Leoric dies, you feel like it didn't matter. When you kill Caff on Leoric, it doesn't feel like he died at all. Like just with his positioning, how aggressive he is with scouting. Like not just talking about the Murky Abathur game. I'm just talking about when Caffeine dies. He makes his deaths valuable. Like literally, there's only one time on that Dragon Shard game where he overextended. And every time he died, and any time you see him die on Leoric, it's either to delay, it's to scout. He makes value of his ghost. Like they're on the next level. You know,
That ghost has coupons. He gets the ultimate value.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm really excited for though is I know we're on the C9 Circle Jerk card though. How are they going to do in a league format? They're in China right now. And they're going to be there for extended duration. Now, we saw them win BlizzCon with a bunch of, unique strategies, pocket strats. They were able to take out DQ with these two. But how will they do when they're playing every week and, the Chinese teams are able to analyze them? And, they're not going to be able to do these cheesy shit every time. Well, I don't know. Okay, I wouldn't say cheesy. The only thing cheesy they did is the Murky Abathur stuff. They outplayed, they outplayed Dig, but that's not saying much. Like, Europe. But
So another interesting point that'll really determine how strong C9 is as a team, as like 5 band of brothers, is they've never lived with each other for a super extended period of time. And I know, because I know the C9 guys pretty well, that a lot of them like their space. So when they have to live together, that was one, like, team houses can either make or break a team. That's already been established throughout many, like, team discussions. But I'm super curious to observe how C9's team atmosphere and morale will, like, develop and what it'll morph into while they sort of live together for their extended stay in China. Because it can affect you as a team in
positive
a good
or
way
negative,
and a bad way. Like, we've seen it. When I was on Tempo Storm, for example, the house was nothing but negative. And when I've been on COG, the house has been nothing but positive. There's just me personally, I've experienced it in 2 different lights where it's just incredible just how much it can make or break a team. So I'm really curious to see how they'll grow.
Yeah, they're going to be living together, and in a foreign country, too, so they're going to be together.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's going to put a lot of stress on them.
Do any of them speak Chinese?
Fan speaks a little bit of Chinese. I remember asking him this question.
Okay.
Also, so
because it's a big, another level of stress you have to think about. Like, sure, they might be taken out of their normal home, but going to a different country where it's not your native language, if you don't have a tour guide or someone that can hold your hand to some regard when it comes to even just buying food or doing laundry or whatever, that can be stressful.
I think Fan speaks enough. Like, I remember talking to him. He said something like kindergarten level. So not too much, but enough to
Dream
get by.
says that Fan and I speak Chinese. And I'm not sure about Tao either. Because Tao's
going? Okay.
Yeah, that's their manager.
Yeah, I have no idea if she does. Okay, well, that's good if Dream and Fan both speak Chinese. Gold League starts soon?
Soon.
Yeah.
Maybe the 15th?
No.
15th? Is it 15th, Clau?
They're already in China.
I'll check.
Yeah,
It is.
They already flew out?
Yep, they're already in China.
They're already there.
Talk about busy. They just became the world champs, and they had a few days
I think
to
they had
rest.
like less than 48 hours.
I think
oh
it's
my
either.
God.
Yeah.
I think it's next Thursday. I want to say next
Okay,
Thursday.
it says the start date is the 16th. Is that right? That's Monday. Next Monday.
Okay, so I'm probably wrong then.
Let's see. Hold on.
Let's double back to BlizzCon.
It is the 16th. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's double back to BlizzCon. Let's talk about the format a bit.
Sure.
Do you guys like this current format? And
No.
how it
In
plays out?
regards
'Cause
to what?
the format of the tournament.
Okay, just the esports
groups into the single limb bracket, because I personally feel, and you can be like Zori's a dick, whatever. We did not get the best grand finals possible because it was not double elimination.
At
feel
a certain
like
point,
DK would have went back. Let's just say that DK, after losing to those 2 strategies, getting time to think about it, had a chance to go back through the losers bracket and replay C9. Would those strats have worked? Would they have been able to figure them out quickly enough to be able to react?
Hold on. They already lost twice at that point. Yes?
Okay.
Yeah, they lost to Navi and then to...
Yeah, in the groups. Yes, in the groups. Okay.
I'm just saying, like, they were already, or whatever, X number and 2 at that point, so...
Okay, let's just say, from that point of perspective, Navi didn't drop a set, and yet they were eliminated one round. So that wasn't double elimination for Navi.
You're right.
So-
I'm just saying for that perspective, but...
Okay, well, either way, it's not a double elimination
yeah,
tournament.
it's not
Do
a
you
true
think
double
this-
elim. At one point it is, but another point it isn't. Right? Once you get to semifinals, it's now single elim.
Well,
And
at
that's very odd.
At one point for teams, it's not double elimination. C9 and Navi, it's not a double elimination tournament for them.
Right.
They never got the chance to lose and come back.
And it was
That's
the same
not
thing.
the point, though. Is this format leading to the most exciting tournament? Because I would
don't
disagree.
think so.
I mean, if you just use our grand finals as a reference, it was a stomp. It wasn't the ultimate grand finals. So, yeah, you're right. I really think that Navi probably would have come back and probably would have made it to the grand finals. I think
Navi or DK.
would have
I don't take anything
performed-
away from Dig.
No. Dig played well, but when it came to grand finals, it wasn't the same level of play that we saw out of Navi and DK. Even in opening week, like they both played really well. Like granted, yeah, DK threw in game 3, but versus Navi, but
But even for StarCraft, they don't have double limit. I
Yeah.
think it's just a 16-man tournament.
the thing is, when it comes to expanding the
limit.
format, like they need to, they right now it's a big time constraint. Sharing a stage with World of Warcraft creates a lot of issues. So if Heroes has its own stage, this is obviously very situational, right? But I'm with you. I think the tournament needs to be one or the other, either single elim for the whole thing or double elim for the whole thing. This like half format is like
as a player, I seriously hate it.
Yeah.
It makes the group stage like there's obviously meaning to it, but almost meaningless.
It feels
like,
that way, right?
You look at C9 and Navi, they go completely undefeated. Or
you play
regionals,
one less game. If
you have Tempo Storm and Cognitive both go undefeated in their group, and it's just like there's no perks. You don't.
Yeah.
And also, it's like another issue is with the way the seeding works going into the single elimination semifinals. Is there are situations where you can analyze it as a team and be like, it's more advantageous to drop a game in the group stage and qualify as second seed in our group because whoever happens to be first seed in the other group is an easier opponent. You know, like that stuff did happen at regionals to an extent.
It did happen.
To an extent,
100%.
yeah. And that is just, there should never be a game in any professional sport, esport, anything, where a team thinks about losing in a way that it'll like get them an advantage. Because
that's a good way to
that
put
sort
it.
of format's super stupid. And if this was just BlizzCon, I wouldn't be able to make the argument that I'm making. But the thing is, we actually have a decent sample size. We've tried this in 3 tournaments now, I think. I didn't watch EU.
Well, here's one of my bigger beefs is the fact that EU semifinals were best of 5. It's not even consistent across those 3 tournaments.
Yeah.
Like, semifinals were best of 3 in BlizzCon and NA Champs, but best of, like, I don't know.
It bothers me, like,
Jake doesn't
a
know.
lot.
I don't know.
As a player, I hate the current format. As a player, I want.
So, do you have a suggestion?
Yeah,
Okay.
I want an 8-man double elimination bracket.
That's it.
Nope.
No
Not gonna
groups, 8-man double them.
It's not gonna. That in itself will not happen from a logistics perspective. It just takes too long.
So, what if opening week was a true opening week where it was a little bit longer? There was a few more matches during opening week. But Glau, here's the give and take. As soon as you do this, teams start to get eliminated a little bit sooner, and logistically, it might not make sense for every team to get their limelight at BlizzCon. Now, the way this format ended up working out, every team at least got to play at BlizzCon. But this isn't true for StarCraft or Hearthstone.
Or Dota.
Or Dota.
Like,
so
the international,
you think
that's
the superior format.
You know
Even
what?
though the 8th place team won't get to play at BlizzCon, you think this is still the best possible format.
You know what Riot does?
If you care about the integrity, yeah.
You know what Riot does? The moment they lose, they send them home. They cancel their hotel for the rest of the trip.
Damn, that's...
You're not staying anywhere.
Damn!
Win the damn
tournament. God.
Win the damn tournament.
That's cut.
I would rather someone not
so
play on the
BM.
BlizzCon stage and have the most competitive format you could have than, you know, at least you got the experience, the stage.
Yeah.
Even if you let them stay there the whole time, right? Like, you don't have to be brutal like Riot. But, like, yeah, some teams in EU did not get the chance to play on the stage, but...
It's unfair to the spectators to let a grand final like Dignitas C9 happen, in my opinion. I think it's just unfair to the spectator.
What?
Like,
I mean, plenty of grand finals have been stomped in every game ever. That's gonna happen. No matter what the format is, that could happen again.
Oh, what are you arguing, Mike?
No, I'm just thinking with a double elimination bracket, you'll have the best grand final as possible. Like right now, we're left guessing if DK in a double elimination situation would have done better.
The number of GSL
example.
finals I've seen that have been actually, is this the same format as GSL? I think it is.
It's pretty similar.
Apparently, it wasn't Riot that did that. Might have been like international or high res.
Whatever.
But
there's so many GSL Codas finals where just stomps. That's the GSL curse, right? Is the grand finals are always trash, and not always, but like 85% of the time, probably. I don't know. I think it's a hard problem to fix, but it's cool to hear that you think there should be a different format. Obviously, it sounds like based on their plans, they've announced their plans for 2016 to some extent. There's going to be 3 seasons, and the first season will be spring. But it sounds like it's going to be pretty much the same formula from what we hear.
Like a road to each mini BlizzCon.
Yeah, in theory, yeah.
And I like the idea of having like 3 majors in a year. Like that's sort of Dota-esque.
But that's so much more opportunity when you have 3 majors in a year. But you're saying you just want that major, the world championship, whatever they call it.
I like the
you just
3
want
majors.
that format you just want that specific event to be different. You think the lead up, the idea with America's Championships, Zero's Championships, and then World Championship is good, but individually, the tournament structure, the actual bracket needs to change.
Yes. I think the format is just fine. I
Okay.
don't like the way the brackets work. My only like major quarrel is with the brackets,
bracket.
and the fact that there was only one major last year. A lot of the other factors can be attributed to that. Roster locks will be much shorter.
That,
with
which is
3 majors.
that's huge.
Not only that, but
Why does Skype do
you
this?
see,
No,
instead of
I
instead of
touched
there
nothing.
being a
Nothing
June-
changed, and it hates Glaurung now.
Good.
Instead of there being a June Road to BlizzCon, July, and August where Tempo Storm was able to, and whoever else qualified was able to compete in all of them, there will only be one leading up to the major, which is awesome because suddenly you don't have like repeat performances of people who have already qualified, you know?
Damn, we hit 11 o'clock at night on my computer, and it just bodies Glaurung. Well, we're gonna give that as a temp fix. Good enough. Hashtag production. Any thoughts, Kubi, Jared? You guys excited about the plans for next year? You guys, any final thoughts on the tournament structure?
You know what I don't like? Kim Fan openly admits her favorite hero is Gazlo, and then Blizzard announces Gazlo's getting buffs competitively. That is horseshit.
Collusion!
That is some deep. Like Kim Fan's got some pull. Her favorite hero's getting buffed. What about my favorite hero?
What is your favorite hero? It used to be
Jaina.
Murky.
She needs to be stronger.
It
Alright.
used to be Murky, right?
Yeah,
It was for a little while.
it was for a little while.
Kubi?
Which question?
Both. Bracket, is it fine? Do they need to change it? Start with that.
I can understand people wanting a double elim bracket. If you're gonna do that, you need to, at least as it exists in its current form, like a shared stage, then you really do need to do a like a 6-man tournament or something with some kind of like seeding involved, which is difficult to do.
Looking at it from the perspective of Blizzard and their tournament and stuff. From your perspective, for the World Tournament of BlizzCon, don't
fine.
look at production.
Okay, it's
and
fine.
stuff.
It's fine.
You're okay with the
Yeah, it's
format being what it is. You don't like. You don't.
I don't see a problem with it. Best team's gonna win, so it's fine.
Okay.
Best team's gonna win, but not in the grand finals. That's my biggest issue. Or like the second best team won't be able to.
I see. You think that the second best team
That's
might not
also-
necessarily be there. Well, that happens in every sport, in every tournament. That I mean, you could
whoa, back it up. Why wouldn't the second best team get the finals?
because they
Okay,
could
let's
be
just say
they
that
could be eliminated
this tournament-
semifinals.
The issues with the seedings going into the semifinals is one thing because there could be collusion regarding that, and then on top of that,
Oh, you can't pull collusion into this argument. Excuse what happens. Like that doesn't make any sense to argue about that.
and also if the top 2 teams in a tournament, like I'm just gonna use it as an example, DK might not have been the second best team, but C9 and DK meeting in the semifinals and then them losing in the semifinals means they're out. Just seems kind of unfair to the second best team. in the world.
I can slightly understand that perspective, but like if you have 2 of the best teams, because there's no way to seed this fairly, if they're both in the same group, they'll meet in the finals. Like, I don't see an issue with that. It's when you get into the argument of like, was the third place team represented fairly? That's a little bit different. But you only got 8 teams there. It's fine. I think when you pull collusion into that, it's going to affect any format.
I just think
it makes a little less
collusion
sense.
is more likely to happen in the current format.
It's still
than
way
if it
riskier.
were-
Yeah.
Like, what if you look at a city? Oh, Temple Storm colluded. Well, they got knocked down. They got 7th place. Good job. Nice collusion, guys.
I'm
Like
just
that can happen. You're taking
from
a
a-
huge risk doing that.
I don't see what's wrong with the format we used in all 3 qualifiers. That tournament,
Yeah,
you're
that
going to
was
get
good.
guaranteed first and second place every single time.
How long did it take us for us to broadcast both?
But we should
2
we
days.
should-
Guess what? We get 3 days for BlizzCon.
for
Opening week
competitive
plus 2 there.
integrity.
No, we don't have 2 days. That's
For
not.
competitive integrity, we shouldn't care about how long the broadcast
Yeah,
will take.
I said stop
or
thinking about
how
production anyway.
the logistics.
I'm with you there, Glau. I'm with you there.
Because I want to know who the best team in the world is, and I want to know who the second best team in the world
Then
is.
you're
Like,
fine. It doesn't
completely
matter.
test-
If one runs faster than the other, then it's fine.
Okay, well, what about the perspective from the grand finals is the grand finals, and it should be the hypest, most amazing set we have. Look at
It should
international.
have been with this format anyway.
I
Not
like the
necessarily.
internationals
I
format.
mean,
actually.
honestly, if
Nationals are great for that.
Dignitas outplayed Navi, and
So they deserve to get to the
DK
final.
was on the side of the bracket.
If there's a weird matchup there where it's just like Cloud9 always stomps
Yeah.
Dignitas, well, that's going to happen in the grand finals anyway, even if they get through loser bracket.
I mean, I get your perspective, Glau, but personally, I don't think it'll make enough of a difference.
From a competitive standpoint, look at a team like C9, who has consistently lost to Tempo Storm in the winners bracket, learns from those games, comes back in the losers bracket, eventually plays Tempo Storm again, and learns from those games, proves that they are a smarter team, and wins because of that. That is also an amazing storyline and proves that a team can be better. What if, like, potentially, like with this format, yes, specifically, but let's say it was just a non-single Ertz double M, DK loses randomly, but what if they were able to think about what C9 did to them and get a chance to play them again? Would it even be close to how that set looked? You don't know. Like, there's just so much more you get.
I mean, we saw some of those rematches. We saw some of those rematches from opening week, and we saw those stories unfold to some extent. But, okay. Plans for next year.
I don't know.
We're past our normal time, so we gotta kind of push for these next few segments. I mean, personally, next year they announced the 3 seasons. They didn't really say much more than that, but the spring season will have the same prize pool, $500,000, $500,000. This exceeded my expectations for what they would do for next year so much. Like, I wasn't expecting a $500,000 tournament in like 5 months or whatever it is. That's insane.
And that's only the first one. Like,
right, and who knows?
It's awesome. And there's also going to be financial backing for each of the mini roads to the World Championship. So it's like, for the first World Championship, they're probably going to be investing something close to $5 million or whatever it was for this one, which probably not $5 million, but still, it's awesome that Blizzard is willing to support us.
It's a lot of money. And obviously, this is global. Each region might be a little bit different, but it's really exciting. Heroes has a phenomenal future when it comes to all the things they showed at BlizzCon, their plans for esports, the new heroes having, the ability to outplay your opponents. It's all really looking quite good. What did we not talk about? PTR we're going to save for next week. They just put out PTR notes. We're not going to talk about that tonight. I think we're ready for shoutouts. Any final topics that we didn't discuss? Oh, Jared, a lot of people in the chat have been asking about Tempo Storm. We talked about it a little bit, but we didn't actually allude to the situation. So here is a moment for you to voice as you please.
How much time do I have? Shit.
As much as you need.
So we recently shit. I thought we were gonna skip it. So we recently parted ways with Arthlon and Zuna. They were not kicked. They chose to leave on their own.
How sudden did that happen?
I don't know how much I can say.
Okay, fair enough.
I think we knew we were going through changes, and we knew it was going to be one of two sides. We'd either be going with those two or going with a different two. They wanted to leave, which is okay. They're both fantastic players. I freaking love Zuna to death as a person. And Arthlon has been one of my closest friends in this house. This roster was not going to work. So they're both no longer with Tempo. They're both free agents. We're not holding them to the rest of their contracts. They're released. So if you're a team wanting to either pick up players or whatever, they are both free agents. You can reach out to the two of them. We are continuing forward with Dread KO and Soldier. We are actually doing tryouts this very second and have been doing it throughout all of Town Hall. And we are looking for all 3 roles potentially.
Can you explain these tweets that we're looking at on the screen right now?
No.
Explain yourself.
That's Arthlon. I don't know.
What?
He's very excited.
Yeah. I mean, I've said before that no one on this team was happy. We just knew this roster wasn't going to work out with these 5 people. They didn't mold well together, personality-wise or in game. I think everyone can consider each other not no one hates each other, right? No one Zuna doesn't look at someone and go this person is just someone I will never like. I hate them. No one hates each other. No one I think everyone.
Who pulled the knife first, Jared?
Who pulled the knife first? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? No knives were pulled. Everyone just knew it wasn't right. So that's where we're at. We're doing scrims and trying multiple players out for the future of Zuna and Arth. I don't know what their plans are. I know both are still interested in competitive, so you'll still see them around. But yeah, I don't know. People are expecting maybe eventually something will pop up where like someone's like this and this happened, and people are like, oh my god, a little bit of Heroes drama. Let me grasp onto it. I don't think there's anything that's gonna pop up that's like groundbreaking. Like one night, Zuna or not like Zuna tried, stabbing Soldier, or Soldier like pooped in Dreadnought sheets. Like none of that happened. Like we just knew the team wasn't gonna work.
I could see Soldier doing that though.
Yeah, Soldier would do that. That guy's crazy. So yeah, that's just the roster we ended up with, I have faith in it. Dreadnought's a great shot caller. I think KO played phenomenally in those Braveheart games. Soldier's always been a solid warrior. I think all 5 players are really great. I think Zuna has one of the best minds for Heroes. He's one of the smartest drafters and just like game sense players out there. His shot calling is fantastic, and I think Arthlon, when he's playing up to snuff, is probably the. I think at one point everyone in the game thought Arthlon was the best player in the world. Easily.
Yeah, I certainly did.
Mechanically, he was a god. So if he finds his passion for the game again, which already noticed him playing Hero League again, now that he knows he's not in this environment, he's already starting to get back into the swing of things.
Interesting.
So, I don't know. There's no big veil or anything. I don't think.
All right. Well, Tempo doing tryouts right now. Bug Zoya on Twitter if you think you're up to snuff. And I assume that tryout period will be so mad.
Is like, Jake, please.
I assume that tryout period will be going on for quite some time. Obviously,
we're being patient,
especially with Arthlon being a original member of Symbio Gaming, filling that role, filling that hole that he left is going to be not something that happens overnight.
It's tough. Here's like we talked about earlier. Here's a different game. Like if you look at all the top 5 teams in NA, a core of those roster have been playing with each other for more than 6 months. Every single team. So it's tough losing Arthlon. It's going to be tough losing Zuna. But I think it's just best for everyone.
All right.
I think it's going to be a good change for all parties involved. I don't think like literally we have our team chat and all 6 of us were talking in it today, like just bantering and having fun. Like no one's like hating each other. Like Arthlon's still in the house. Zuna already went back home. Like it's just. Wasn't the right fit.
Well, before we go to the shoutouts, the final thing I just want to address, chat was asking about this, is about the technical difficulties, the 2.5 hours of delay on day 2 at Saturday at BlizzCon. Basically, what was happening is, I don't know what changed from Friday to Saturday, but for some reason, players could hear their opponent's comms. So basically, Na'Vi and Dignitas could hear each other's headsets on the opposite side of the stage. That's completely...
what's funny? That was an issue day 1, too.
It was an issue, day 1?
They didn't fix it.
I know it was an issue for rehearsal day.
No, it was teams complained about it. Our team complained about it specifically.
I know it was an issue on rehearsal day, but I thought it had been fixed. But either way, there was a big problem, and the teams did not want to play without it. Rightfully so. A lot of delay. Fortunately, they fixed it for the semis and grand finals, but that is what happened. Any final things you guys want to hit before we go to shoutouts? All right, Glarong, thanks for coming on. Shoutouts for you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks. This is my 5th show. It's always been great.
What a guy.
On top of that, our contracts with COG are just expired, so our fans and stuff, just keep you informed. We're currently undergoing a sponsorship change, so we're all going to be moving out of San Jose and to an undisclosed location further, which is pretty exciting. So, yep, you can follow me on Twitter at cog_Glarong until the 21st. Then it'll be something else.
Damn,
and,
that's heavy.
That's
heavy, Glarong. We're trying to leave on positive notes.
There's no bad blood between us or COG or anything like that. It all ended on like super happy terms and stuff, and we're really excited going into 2016. I think with the changes between the other top 3 teams, we're definitely gonna like be one of the more powerhouses as long as we work hard.
And you guys are playing in the WCA finals, right?
Yes, this
coming weekend on Sunday. Your chance to qualify for China.
during this broadcast, an email was sent out, but I haven't had the chance to read about it. But
We got ours earlier today.
Oh, really? I might have. I just haven't checked my email. So WCA info's been out. That's really exciting. We haven't heard from them. No team has in forever.
Yeah.
Super unprofessional TO by the WCA people, but I don't want to talk about that. But yeah, that's the end of my shout-outs.
Jared?
Got that bomb on it. All right.
All right. I'm going to go kind of a different route with my shout-outs this time. I have two. A big shout-out to both Zuna and Arthlon for being, pillars of this team for several months. People look at the last month or two and see as the downfall of CS. I still think it was a great experience, and I love both of them to death. I wish them the best of luck in whatever they end up doing in Heroes Esports, because they're both fantastic players, and they deserve a ride home. If I could have had two teams, I would have fought hard to had everyone still a part of Tempo. My second shout out is to three of my closest friends, not just in esports but in the world, Jake, Kubi, and Gilly. All three of them have been casting less than 2 years, and they just casted their first BlizzCon, which is probably one of the biggest achievements you can have as a caster in the world. That's a huge accomplishment, and all three of them worked super hard to achieve that. So I couldn't be happier for the three of them. So big shout out to those three for not only achieving their dreams, but achieving it like so fast. That is just awesome. So just shout out to Jake, Kubi, and Gilly because they deserved it, and it's freaking awesome.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Kubi?
Love you too, Jared. Let's see. We can. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that we didn't get to cover today that we can talk about next week. There's a lot of changes. Not really a whole lot, but some very impactful changes, I think, just balance-wise going into the game that's in the PTR now that we can actually try to jump into in depth for next week. Perhaps we can even touch. I know we briefly mentioned about the tech issues, but even just like the perspective of like the fill for 3 hours and all that stuff. I don't know. Maybe we can jump into that more next week, but people were quite upset about that. Also want to say this guy won the bracket predictions. This guy right here? This guy?
Didn't two people predict C9 winning, and then someone on this host crew didn't predict C9 winning?
No,
I totally said Navi.
Yeah, Jake didn't say C9.
I said C9.
Yeah, we both
Jake?
said C9.
DK.
I will always be wrong with bracket predictions.
Well, okay, so DK doesn't count, all right? You get a 3/4, like you don't know which one got third, but you got the top two, right? But Jake didn't say C9. Jake doesn't believe in America.
I said C9 finals.
You didn't think they would win, though.
No, I didn't.
You don't believe in America.
You're right.
Fuck you, Jake. Take back what I just said about your casting.
Damn! Ugh.
That's cold. That's cold right there. Also, just big thanks again to everybody that I was able to meet and everyone that came out for the town hall meetup. I've met like hundreds of people over the weekend. Everybody was fantastic, so that was awesome. Really, just had a fantastic BlizzCon. Thanks to all you guys and all the support that we've gotten over this past year. It's been a wild ride and very, very excited for 2016. That's it for me.
Yeah, I'm really echoing you guys a lot, but we did the little town hall meetup. I did like a little signing thing at the tap room. It was called. I have no idea why it was called the tap room. At Con Before the Storm at BlizzCon. So again, thank you all. The organizers for inviting me to that. It was cool to be part of it. Got to meet a lot of people that are passionate about Heroes and passionate about the show at the meetup. And then we did a little town hall meetup after that. And it's just everyone wearing their town hall shirts and stuff, and meeting all the people that just really care about. Not only the show, but just competitive Heroes. So that was really fun, but BlizzCon was a dream. Casting BlizzCon, opening the show with Kubi, it really started for us last year. We attended BlizzCon 2 years ago to watch StarCraft. I've told this story a few times. This is the condensed version, I swear. We attended BlizzCon 2 years ago to watch the StarCraft finals. Heroes was playable as just a very, there's 12 heroes you could be, as Stitches, Malf, Arthas. Arthas had a different abilities back then. The game was way different. We played it, we're like, whoa, this game's awesome. Jared called me that night, said we need to do a podcast, and that's how Town Hall was born. Town Hall started before the alpha even began. Kubi and I hadn't really cast at all last year when we went to the World Championship or the Invitational, whatever you want to call it. We watched it. We said, we need to be casters for this game. I moved in with Kubi shortly after to pursue that. It was my fiance's idea to to give me more space to help pursue it. We built this little streaming setup. We started doing Kings of the Storm, led to ESL, which got me to Dorm, where I got to meet. I was a production guy. I met people at Blizzard. That was our gateway into doing the June Open, and then we cast BlizzCon. It's crazy. We've worked our asses off, but thank you to Kubi for putting up with me living with you and for working our butts off together. Thank you to Jared for being along this ride for Town Hall. Thank you to Shim, too, for being part of Town Hall for a very long time. My fiance for supporting me and doing all of this and really being away from home a lot more than she would like. Thank you to all the players for working hard and putting up with us coming on our show. Guys like Glauron giving us great insight. They make us better commentators. They teach us about the game when they come on the show. Things we don't think about, we learn almost in every episode. And for the community, I mean, we're a small, young, passionate community, but we're going to grow, and we're going to be the best esport out there. So just all the feels around everywhere. It's been a hell of a year. And the esports team and the development team at Blizzard, they've been incredibly receptive, incredibly open with us. They've opened lines. Dustin Browder even sent us an email after the event just saying thank you. Kubi and I got gift boxes with action figures and Abathur hats. It's like in the mail. So it's really incredible how well this community treats us. So hearts, I can't do that very well. Maybe here. Guys, that's going to do it for episode number 85 of Town Hall, and we'll see you next week.
Drunk episode soon. Hype!